Parasite Eve is a 1998 survival horror action role-playing game developed and published by Squaresoft and released for the PS1, and this year marks its 20th anniversary. The game is a sequel to the Japanese novel of the same name, written by Hideki Senna. This is the first game in the Parasite Eve series. The video game adaptation was part of a resurgence in popularity in Japanese horror, sparked by the original book, and was released alongside a film adaptation and 2 manga comics, one based on the book and the other based on the video game. The story follows New York City police officer Aya Brea. I think I'm saying that right? Over a 6-day span in 1997, she attempts to stop the Eva, a woman who plans to destroy the human race through spontaneous human combustion. Players explore levels set in areas of New York while utilising a pausable real-time combat system along with several role-playing game elements. Movement in the world map, which is a map of Manhattan, is limited to specific destinations. Upon the player walking over a hotspot, there is a chance of a random encounter. Enemies materialise and attack players on the same screen that they move AR around on, with no battle mode or screen being used. In battle, the game uses a pausable real-time combat system with an active time bar that sets the time that must be waited until the player can take their next action. Once the game is complete, a new Game Plus mode is available called the EX game. To my knowledge, this is one of the first experiences of a new Game Plus style mode being added into a game once you've finally completed it. Although it should be said, I never actually completed my second playthrough. It's different from the normal game in various aspects. The player has access to every item that's stored within the police station. The game begins with the final weapon and armour that the player had before ending the first game, but returns to level 1 experience. However, the biggest difference from the normal game is the addition of the Chrysler Building, a brand new location with 77 floors containing mostly random content, leading to a final boss battle with Aya's older sister Maya. Parasite Eve received generally favourable reviews. IGN praised the game for its beautiful graphics and cinematic sequences, as well as its mature tone, but noted the game's linear plot structure. GameSpot said that the game had a cinematic look and had an astounding level of detail for real-life locations. The lack of any voice acting or singing, however, hindered the dramatic scenes, such as the opera and the subsequent mass combustion of the entire audience at the game's start. Reviews also cited that although the game broke many RPG gaming conventions, it suffered from having little replay value. The combat was compared unfavourably to Final Fantasy VII, which featured a dynamic camera instead of a fixed one. Although it's interesting to say that if you look at the combat system they employed in Parasite Eve, how some of those elements ended up in later Final Fantasy games. So it very much was them messing around and seeing what worked and what didn't work. It just so happened that it was released at a time when people weren't really ready for this type of combat. I think it was Final Fantasy XII that finally implemented this style of combat into the Final Fantasy series. Unsurprisingly, that's one of the main Final Fantasy games that people are very much split on whether they like or dislike the combat. Parasite Eve was Squaresoft's first M-related game and the first major American and Japanese developed collaboration for the company. And we are still to have it released in fucking Europe. Parasite Eve was followed by 2 video game sequels, Parasite Eve 2 in 1999 and The Third Birthday in 2010. And all 3 games are on the US PlayStation Network. Annoyingly, not the European PlayStation Network. Hello, Ladles and Jelly Spoons. So, since I was sort of doing this little bit of an anniversary look into Parasite Eve, one of my favourite games from the 90s and the PlayStation age, I thought I'd do a little bit of gameplay of it and sort of telling a little bit about my experiences with the game. Can we skip the intro? Although, can I just say, this intro is probably one of the best. I remember in 1998 I was watching it and I was absolutely blown away by it. I was like, God, this is amazing. But let's skip. Anyway, Parasite Eve. Press the start button. I genuinely can't remember it having a tutorial. New game. Thanks. Yeah, there we go. So, for those of you that don't know, so Parasite Eve came out in 1998 in the US. Now, it never actually came out in Europe, and to this day it still has never been released in Europe. I know quite a lot of people have played it. I played it myself because I had an imported PlayStation, and I could get games from several places. A place in Nottingham called Another World. It sort of did imported. It sort of specialised in sort of geeky sci-fi stuff, but it also had a bit of a sideline on importing games consoles from the US and Japan and stuff, and you could get imported games and things like that. There was a guy at school who is interesting, who I got Parasite Eve off, 1997. And finally, there was a dodgy shop near where I lived where you could get imported games from. And he was forever being closed down and reopened, let me tell you. Forever being busted by the police. Which was interesting because selling him, I think he used to sell chipped games as well. My God, look at those graphics. I remember like when I first saw it and actually looking at it now, it has character model-esque wise, it has very Final Fantasy VIII overtones, doesn't it? What's wrong? You're the one who wanted to come to the opera. Name: Aya Bray. Bray? Aya Bray. Age 25. Occupation NYPD officer. Oh, I forgot you could rename the main character. Let's rename her to Jeff. There we go. Jeff Bray, 25. Oh dear. Jeff. I don't know. You're right. I'll try to have more fun. You go to the opera, love. It's not fun. Aren't you glad you decided to go out with me? I even had my dad get the best seats for us tonight. So lighten up, you're gonna have a great time. You'll see. Right. Oh, it's me in control. Right, can I get out of here? Do I have to go on this date? Get out of my way. Shit, no. Can I throw myself into the road? Anything to not have to be with this kind of obnoxious twat. No, I'll just run inside. Ooh. I don't remember there being circles around the base of my character. I think that might be a graphical glitch. So, my experience with Parasite Eve. Yeah, I got it from this guy at school who could get you imported games. Let's go in and watch the opera. And he was like, oh, if you like Resident Evil, if you like Final Fantasy, this is the game for you. You'll enjoy this. And looking back on it now, I think he was only giving me his copy to borrow, but I've still got it. Oh, the opera. I remember this bit, it's pretty awesome. Father, please give me permission to marry Eva. I forbid it. You know well what happens if you do. Those who succumb to her beauty all die in horrible ways. You do not understand. She is the one who has suffered after the deaths. Well, people who died as well. She is evil. Gods grab her and burn her at the stake. Father, if you are sentencing her to death, then I ask that you take my life along with hers. It would. I will now sing. Yeah, because I could be wrong, but isn't it an operetta if it's in English? It can only be counted as opera if it's in Italian or Spanish. I can't remember. Italian, yeah. I think that's. I could be wrong, but anyway. If you know, put a comment down below. Oh Do you know what? I remember being blown away by this FMV. She is evil. Look at her eyes. They're all mottled and brown, and now they've turned green. Instant evil. Oh, he's on fire. They're on fire. Yep. Now the audience realise, oh, that wasn't meant to happen. Quick, quick, Mathy, leave. Oh, I thought that was going to be a date. Oh. She didn't seem that bothered. The game going to confusion. Oh, get out the way, Eve! Oh, Jeff, get out the way, Jeff! Also, where's your date? He's scarpered. See, douchebag. But yeah, I remember, like 1998, little me. Oh no, he's still there. Jeff. Jesus! Don't wanna. Oh my God! Go, get out of here now. It's the best thing she's done to that date. Oh, hang on. Let me take the slow walk up to the stage. So, yes, I got it off this guy. I played it. I was absolutely amazed by it. I think I basically just played it to death. But back in 1998, obviously, I didn't have the internet and didn't have such good internet and didn't have access to sort of walkthroughs or anything like that. Jeff, freeze, NYPD! Humph. You're the only one who seems to be fine. What? You should be awakening soon. What are you talking about, Willis? Listen, your cells are trying to communicate. They're calling out. And what do we say? We say, bloody hell, my cell's talking. Oh, combat. Okay. Bang, bang. Ha 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 ha. What's happening? My body, it's getting hot. I'm getting hot. Just as I thought. Oh, just as I thought. What is this? What did you do to me? Oh, shit. Come on. I mean, I'm not getting very far. Our bodies are communicating with each other. What? Communicating? What do you want? The more you use that power, the more you will become like me. Power! What power? Who are you? I'm ready to decide on a voice for Jeff. Eve. Eve? Eve. I'm surprised you don't know me, Jeff. You should know me well. What? Flashback, I'm guessing? Yeah, it's flashback. What is this? What was that? Ha 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 ha. And she's off. Wait, where are you going? I'm not through with you yet. Hang on. I'm coming after you. Hang on, this might be my only chance. Oh, Oklahoma win the wind. I think there's a hidden something back here. Is it behind the... I can't remember now. Is it behind the statue? No, I might be wrong. Anyway, yeah. So, also, because Parasite Eve was never released in Europe, they there wasn't really a lot of buzz about it. It never really got covered in any magazines or anything like that. Police have turned up, and it was a really relatively unknown game. Like a couple of people that I knew about it, but no one else really. Ooh, a ghostly child. Are you alone? It's dangerous here. You should go. But interestingly enough though, I absolutely adored this game, and when Parasite Eve 2 came out, which came out the year after, I really wanted to play it, and I still never have. Yeah. It is really daft. I've never got around to playing the sequel, or the one that came out on the PSP, the Third Birthday, but I was totally out of it by then. I'm going to end this gameplay, but I'm just going to end it with this is my lasting memory of Parasite Eve. So imagine I was a young boy, I was about 15, 16 at the time, playing this, and got to this bit, and here I am going down here. I think you can go into some of these rooms, but I'm just going to keep going down here until this cutscene kicks in. Kick in? Yep. And my dad walks into my room whilst I'm playing this, and he sees this cutscene. Bear in mind, my dad is not a games fan. He even dislikes Sonic the Hedgehog. He saw that and he just looked at me and he just went, "That wasn't very nice." Woohoo! Anyway, Ladles and Jelly Spoons, I'm going to leave it there. Yeah, if you can check out Parasite Eve, if you're in America, it's on the PlayStation Network. If you're in the UK, it is a little bit more difficult to come by. There are ways that you can come by it quite easily. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I think you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, if you get the opportunity, definitely try it. It's an amazing game. It is quite Resident Evil-like in its setting and the gameplay mechanics, but obviously there's a good bit of Final Fantasy RPG elements in there. I have been Kohigh Mathy. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope to see you in the next one. Please, by all means, if you've played Parasite Eve, leave me a comment down below and let's chat about the game. I'd love to talk to some other people who actually ever played it. I think in my group of friends, like me, and I think, yeah, do you know what? Like, thinking back on it, I think it was like literally I was the only person that ever played this game back in the day. Yeah, so I'd love to talk to some other people about it. Leave us a comment, we'll have a little bit of a chat. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and I will see you next Wednesday at 6 o'clock. Bye for now. As is pretty much compulsory these days, if you like this video, please hit the old like button. Don't smash it. There's no need to be aggressive. Come on now. Just a little press will do. If you want to know what crazy antics I'll be getting up to next Wednesday at 6 PM British Standard Time, then why not subscribe to find out? And finally, please check me out on other social media platforms. Links are in the description down below. And we shall see you next week. Thanks very much for watching, guys, and thank you for making it to the end of the video. For those of you that know nothing about the Tomb Raider series, let alone Tomb Raider 3, here's a short history lesson. Tomb Raider is now a recognised media franchise that has grown up in forms of film adaptations, comics, novels and video games. But it all started back in 1993 in the city of Derby in the UK, by the British gaming company Core Design, that was formerly owned by Eidos Interactive and then by Square Enix. The success of the first Tomb Raider game prompted Core Design to develop a new game annually for the next 4 years. The game focuses on fictional British archaeologist Lara Croft, who travels around the world searching for lost artefacts and infiltrating dangerous tombs and ruins. The gameplay generally focuses around action-adventure exploration of environments, puzzle solving, navigating hostile environments filled with traps, and fighting numerous enemies. The first game in the series was released in 1996 for the PC, PlayStation and Sega Saturn, and the second game, Tomb Raider 2, launched in 1997, again for the PC and PlayStation. And in 1998, Tomb Raider 3 launched, again for the PlayStation and PC. At the time of writing, Tomb Raider games have sold over 63 million copies worldwide, and the series is noted as one of the pioneers of the action-adventure genre. Lara Croft herself has become one of the most recognisable video game protagonists in existence, and has won numerous accolades and earned places on the Walk of Game and the Guinness World Record. And this year, Tomb Raider 3 turns 20. Tomb Raider 3, The Adventures of Lara Croft, as I'm sure you can guess by now, is an action-adventure video game developed by Core Design and published by Eidos Interactive. It was released for the Sony PlayStation and Microsoft Windows on the 20th of November 1998. The story follows Lara Croft as she embarks upon a quest to recover 4 pieces of a meteorite that are scattered across the world. A corporation called RX Tech excavates the crash site of a meteorite that landed in Antarctica millions of years ago, and finds strange Rapa Nui-like statues alongside the grave of one of HMS Beagle's sailors. Meanwhile, Lara Croft is searching for an artefact known as the Infada Stone in the ruins of an ancient Indian Hindu temple, once inhabited by the Infada tribe. After taking the artefact from a researcher working for RX Tech, Lara is approached by RX Tech scientist Dr. Willard, who explains that the Polynesians came across the meteorite crater in Antarctica thousands of years ago and found that it held incredible power. Using rock from the meteorite, they crafted 4 crystalline artefacts, one of which is the Infada Stone. Then they fled Antarctica for unknown reasons. But in the 19th century, a group of sailors travelling with Charles Darwin came to Antarctica and rediscovered the artefacts. The 4 artefacts were distributed across the globe, and Dr. Willard has been able to track the artefacts using the diary of one of the sailors. Lara agrees to help him find the other 3.
Planets, sculpted by Polynesians, distributed by goons. Our excavations and investigations have led us to this: a sailor's diary from Charles Darwin's expedition on the HMS Beagle.
August 14th, 1834.
This voyage is getting too boring for me to go on with this journal. Me adventures at sea are an embarrassment.
The player must explore 5 locations: India, the South Pacific, London, Nevada and Antarctica. Once the player completes the first location, India, the following 3, South Pacific, London and Nevada, can be played in any order before the final location, Antarctica, closes the game. Each location features a series of enclosed levels that include solving puzzles, jumping over obstacles and defeating enemies. Most puzzles involve rearranging items, manipulating switches and pushing objects. Most of the enemies require the player to use a variety of weapons including dual Uzis, a Desert Eagle, a shotgun, an MP5, a grenade launcher, a rocket launcher, a harpoon gun for those underwater sections, or Lara's iconic dual pistols to keep them at bay. Lara has a certain amount of health that decreases if she falls from a great height or when she's attacked. If Lara's health is fully depleted, the player must start the game again from a previous save point. Saving players' progress in the PlayStation version of the game requires and consumes a save crystal from Lara's inventory that can be found throughout each level and do not require the player to save the game at pickup spots. It should be noted that this is probably the one thing I dislike most about Tomb Raider 3. I don't know why they decided to bring back the save crystals from Tomb Raider 1. Just let us save anywhere like we could in Tomb Raider 2 and like we could in the PC version of Tomb Raider 3. Tomb Raider 3 was designed to be more in line with the puzzle-solving gameplay of the original Tomb Raider, as opposed to the more shooting-orientated style of Tomb Raider 2. Although the game received generally favourable reviews, it didn't fare as well as its 2 predecessors, with critics generally agreeing that the game failed to change the same tried and tested formula. Reviewers also noted the game's difficulty and unforgiving gameplay. IGN said that Tomb Raider 3 solves none of the original's dilemmas, and as it stands now, the exploration-adventure genre, one that was revolutionised by Tomb Raider, is in exactly the same spot as it was 2 years prior. Games Revolution explained that whilst in previous Tomb Raider games, instant death came about if you were trying to rush through an area and that you did something stupid. But every step in Tomb Raider 3 is a potential threat of instant death, no matter how careful you're trying to be. Electronic Games Monthly criticised the game for being rushed and highly frustrating, noting that it has too many instances of cheap deaths. The magazine also remarked that the stealth elements in the Nevada levels were ineffective, especially when compared to Konami's Metal Gear Solid that came out the same year. My personal feelings around Tomb Raider 3 pretty much echo reviews and critics at the time, although I do feel that I enjoyed playing the game more than they seemed to. Yes, it was a lot harder than the games that had come before it, but as I'd grown up with the series, this didn't bug me as much as it seemed to bug reviewers. My only gripe with the game was that to this day I still get lost and frustrated in that opening India level, and as I've already stated, the reintroduction of save crystals. But this was probably more from an inconvenience of having to have enough crystals in stock that when your mum calls you for tea you could save the game. And I actually think this game is one of the driving reasons behind me buying an action replay for my PlayStation. The Tomb Raider series is still going strong today. After Tomb Raider 3 we got Tomb Raider The Last Revelation in 1999, and in 2000 we got Tomb Raider Chronicles, and many more after that. Indeed, later on in this year, 2018, we will see the release of Shadow of the Tomb Raider, the conclusion of the most recent reboot of the game series that started in 2013 with Tomb Raider 2013. Welcome, Ladles and Jelly Spoons. Wasn't that exciting? Oh, we've gone straight into demo mode. Much like with Parasite Eve that I did before, I'm going to do a little bit of gameplay. I will be doing, obviously, Lara's Home, because, obviously, as I've just stated in my little review/retrospective, the first level of Tomb Raider 3 set in India annoys the ever-loving shit out of me.
Welcome back to my humble abode. Feel free to take a look around.
Hello, Judith. Judith Gibson there, reprising her role as Lara Croft from Tomb Raider 2. I don't believe she wasn't, it was Shelley someone in Tomb Raider 1, and I think it was someone else in The Last Revelation as well, although it sounds very similar. So, for those of you that don't know, the Lara's Home levels in the early Tomb Raider games, Tomb Raider 1 through to 3, there wasn't one in Last Revelation. I don't think there was one in Tomb Raider Chronicles. I can't remember. Off the top of my head, I've just remembered I've completely forgotten to pick something up in here. Oops, I apologise about the... oh god, I apologise about the lag. There we go. Hello, snip into here. Oh, you've done your cupboard up here. Nice you. You've changed it somewhat. So yeah, so for those of you that don't know, in the early Tomb Raider games they would give you this level as a bit of a tutorial / training level. You could work out the controls for yourself, you could see how Lara moved.
Press and hold the look button. Then press in the direction you want to look.
So I'm going to do that now for you. There you go, looking around. Hi Winston. Hi. Yeah. So, avid Tomb Raider fans know exactly what I'm about to do to Winston. Come on, Winnie. Come on. Come on. I don't want the entirety of this video me waiting for you to get downstairs, Winston. For people who have no Tomb Raider knowledge whatsoever, they've never played a Tomb Raider game before, I should say, what are you doing with yourselves? Get out there and play one. Come on, Winston. I was just sticking some music on while I waited for you. Come on, you know where we're going. Now, come on. Come on, we're deep into this, Winston. I'm just sat here waiting for you. Come on. Come on. The first time I ever played this game, which I'll tell you in a minute, Winston stopped right there and didn't come in, and I was genuinely convinced that the programmers had programmed him not to come into the freezer anymore. So the first time I played Tomb Raider 3, my entire experience was Winston just not getting into the freezer. See you later, Winnie. Everybody does that. It has to be said that the Tomb Raider 3 soundtrack is probably not one of my all-time favourites. Yeah, she won't fall off. So yeah, this part of the Croft Mansion is basically the sort of training area to get you used to the controls and the various things that Lara does, anything new that she's got. In this game, I think it was the crouch and the monkey swing, which is over there. She gives you little introductions into each thing, how to do it. I'm probably just going to go... So that was it.
The jump is too far for me.
Oops.
Grab the ledge, save myself now a nasty fall.
On to the next one.
Walk to the edge next to the white line until it won't go any further. Then press jump, immediately followed by forward. Press forward and climb on.
That's it. I'm not going to wait for you. I know exactly what you want me to
Do a
do,
running jump.
Lara.
I can
Yeah,
make a
running jump
jump
time.
Oh, no problem.
Here we go, running jump.
Walk to the edge with the white line until I stop.
Now you would obviously think, as I thought when I first played it, that the obvious thing to do is to jump onto that block, but it's not.
Press and hold the jump button. I won't actually jump until the last minute.
Is to fall off and go up here.
Buttons to
Bless
move.
her, she is unfortunately going to tell me how to do absolutely
Turn around,
everything.
drop
Maybe
the
this was a little bit of a
Make sure
mistake
to keep the action
to go through absolutely everything,
Now let go.
but here we go.
Action buttons.
We're almost done, we're almost through it. Yeah.
Okay. Fancy a swim?
I do indeed fancy a swim. But obviously, if I've never been to the Croft Manor before, I have no idea where the pool is. But luckily, I do know where it is. So off we go for a swim.
The jump button and the directions move me around underwater.
Thanks for that. We're just going to open this little Easter egg secret room. There you go. Possibly go through that in a minute. Let's have a quick jump, swan dive into the water. Couple of laps around the bottom, and up.
Just use forward, left, and right. Let's go and play outside.
It's just nip outside and head for the assault course, which I think would be a much better thing to do and probably more interesting video. And I can tell you my stories of my experiences with Tomb Raider 3, and we haven't got to put up with Lara chatting, talking at me. And then maybe we'll come back and do the quad bike. My experiences with Tomb Raider 3. How did I get it? Well, it came out in the November of 1998. I was a small 16 year old boy. I had played Tomb Raider 2 to death. I had played Tomb
Let's see how
Raider...
quickly the assault course can be completed. Are you
Okay.
ready?
I am. But you did sort of interrupt me there, Lara. Let's just get into the middle here. Yes, I was a young 16-year-old boy, 16 years old. I had played Tomb Raider 2 to death. I had played Tomb Raider 1. I think I'd only played it the once. And I was desperately hungry for another Tomb Raider game. I'd heard that 3 was coming out. I'd followed quite a lot of... I don't know if I've ever actually done that jump properly, ever in the history of me playing this game. Yes, sorry, I was desperate for it to come out. It came out sort of around about Christmas. It was obviously on the Christmas list. But close to Christmas, close to November, it's release week. Myself and my mother were going into town to do some last minute Christmas shopping. And I'd worked out that I had just enough in my piggy bank that I could afford it. So I was like, ooh, excellent. Why don't I go and get it? So I'd said to my mother, I was like, oh, do you know what? We're going shopping. And she was like, oh, you've got all your presents sorted for everybody? And I was like, yes. But I'd also like to just nip into Electronics Boutique, because it was still a thing back then. and pick up the new version of, or the new Tomb Raider game. And she was like, okay. And she was being a bit coy about it, and I was like, okay, it was just Mum. I was like, it's just typical Mum. She's not really much of a video gamer, so I was like, okay, that's just her being her. We went into town and went past Electronics Boutique, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to nip in there now and pick up the new Tomb Raider game. She's like, oh, we don't have time. And I was like, bags of time. What are you talking about, Mother? Bags of time. And she's like, no time. And I was like, we've got to get to these other shops. So I just said to her, I was like, okay, well, how about you go to your shops. I'm just going to nip into Electronics Boutique, and I'll catch up with you. It won't take me more than a few minutes to get. I was, pay attention, Matt. What am I doing? Zip lining. Woohoo! Oof. Straight in, duck. Come on. Hear the ghost of Winston. In fact, this is where they pulled a very good bait and switch on us. I'll get back to my story in a minute. Because you crawl out of there with guns, you're like, oh my god, there's going to be a shooting gallery. There is. Oh, right, sorry, no, Winston. Right, leg it, Lara, leg it. 3 minutes, come on. Right. Can someone explain to me, every single time I have played this, please put a comment down below if you know why. Every single time I've played that, I either get a 20-second penalty or a 30-second penalty for shooting, and I cannot work out what it is. I think it's 30 seconds if you hit Winston, but usually it's 20 seconds. I cannot work out how. Yeah, Winston is back. He's out of the freezer. It's alright, he's not dead. But I do like the fact that he's come back in his little World War II garb. But yes, back to the story. So, basically, we'd gone off Christmas shopping. I was going to go and pick up the game, and Mum was being very, very coy about it. I said, oh, fine, okay, I'll catch you up. I'm just going to nip into Electronics Boutique and buy it. And she was all like, no, Matthew. And basically what happened is she had to basically come clean. She says, no, someone has bought it you for Christmas. I was like, oh my god, really excited, thinking, oh, it must be Mum. I was like, I can probably twist her arm to get her to give it me to play before Christmas, because I was desperate to play this game. And I was like, oh, is it you? She's like, no, it's not me, it's your grandmother. And I was like, ah, shit. Knowing full well that my gran would never go for giving me my Christmas presents like this early. Again, this was like mid-November. I thought, bugger, I'm going to have to wait until Christmas Day. Now, just pointing out, I'm going to go and get the the key for the quad bike area. So if people wonder what I'm doing. Yeah, so pants. And I had to spend that was a very, very fraught Christmas because it was at my uncle's and he wasn't a video game player and my cousins weren't really into video games at all. So I was like, oh, bugger. I got it on Christmas Day. I was really excited and then was trying to do absolutely everything to keep my mind off the fact that I was going to have to wait until we got home to play it. And my aunt and uncle aren't even board game players, so I couldn't, didn't even have the sweet release of maybe a family game of Monopoly to get frustrated over, or poor Scrabble, but Trivial Pursuit or anything like that. And I think we got home. Mum and I got home at about 10 AM and I was like really chomping at the bit, and I was like, I'm gonna get in bed now, and thinking, no, I'm gonna go home and play this video game. Fucking run, Baron! Bloody hell! I haven't got time for you to piss about. What? And again. And again. Go on, come on. I don't want to miss it. I'm through. I'm through. Phew. Whew. Pick up those. Here we are in Lara's Fortress of Solitude, where she can read, sit down and look at fish, and also look at why some idiot has clearly put a key in the water. What a twat. Winston, you're fired. But we're going to go and get that key. Oh yes we are. Yeah, so Christmas Day night, Boxing Day morning, I was there at home playing Tomb Raider, and I deliberately only played this level just because I didn't want to get fully into the story, because I knew if I did I'd probably be like basically playing it all night, and I had quite a few run-ins when I was younger with my mother about playing video games, like in the wee small hours. Right, Winston, you best not be in my Fortress of Solitude. I will smack a bitch if you are. Come on, let's pick up that key. That's another thing that I really disliked about Tomb Raider 3 over Tomb Raider 2, and indeed Tomb Raider 1. When you picked items up, it didn't give you like a little picture of them, just by the bottom left of the screen, or the bottom right of the screen. That annoyed me, because I'd always have to like double check my inventory to find out what the hell it was I just picked up. So yeah, so that was my fond memory of my first playthrough of Tomb Raider 3. Or my first experience of Tomb Raider 3, getting it for Christmas. Yeah. And it took, to be fair, it took me a long time to realise how to do this.
I like the look of this. To jump on, walk up to the vehicle and press the action button.
Okay, what they don't tell you is how to get off the damn thing. I kid you not, the first time I played this game, I would... Get on it, Lara. Come on. There we go. The first time I played this,
Let's go as fast as we can.
No, back. I was trying to do the rev up, but I can't remember what I can't. Is it? I can't remember what the rev up is. Okay. Let's go. Power into the corner. Whoop. The idea is trying not to hit a side because you tend to lose an awful lot of speed. You can actually blow the quad bike up as well if you fuck something up. So let's try and be... Yeah, I've just lost an awful lot of speed there. Yeah, whoop. Oh no, cocked it up. Oh, I've cocked it up at the end. 4370, okay. So there we are, Ladles and Jelly Spoons. Tomb Raider 3 is 20 years old this year, in November. Maybe I should have done the video in November, but if you like this video, please hit the old like button. If you've got any Tomb Raider stories yourself, please by all means put them in the comments down below and we'll have a little bit of a chat. Maybe Tomb Raider 3 is your favourite game, and you know, by all means tell me why, because of the original 5, it's up there, but it's definitely not my favourite. Anyway, I'll finish here where we started. I'll just nip into the bathroom. She can get in the bath. Splish! Lovely. And I'm going to leave it there, fellas. Yeah, okay. I shall see you next Wednesday at 6 PM. Bye for now. The magazine also remarked that the stealth elements in the Nevada levels were ineffective, especially when compared to Konami's Metal Gear Solid that came out the same year. Metal Gear Solid is an action-adventure stealth video game produced by Konami Computer Entertainment Japan and released for the Sony PlayStation in 1998. The game was directed, produced and co-written by series creator Hideo Kojima and serves as a sequel to the MSX2 video games Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake, which Kojima also wrote and directed. The year is 2005. You take on the role of Solid Snake, a retired legendary infiltrator and saboteur from an elite government team known as Foxhound. When 6 of Foxhound's top operatives, Psycho Mantis, Sniper Wolf, Decoy Octopus, Vulcan Raven, Revolver Ocelot, and the leader of Foxhound Squadron, Liquid Snake, form a terrorist organisation, they gain control of a secret genome army of next-generation special forces and take over the nuclear weapons facility on Alaska's Fox Archipelago, codenamed Shadow Moses. From there, they threaten the United States government with a nuclear attack from the ultimate killing machine, the nuclear-equipped walking battle tank Metal Gear Rex.
Metal Gear. It can't be.
Snake's former commander, Colonel Roy Campbell, puts the whole situation in Snake's hands. Snake has 2 mission objectives. First, he must rescue the hostages, DARPA Chief Donald Anderson and Arms Tech President Kenneth Baker. Secondly, he must investigate whether or not the terrorists have the ability to launch a nuclear weapon.
They say if they don't accede to their demands, they'll launch a nuclear weapon.
Sweet Jesus.
Is it possible?
It's possible.
Kojima originally planned the third Metal Gear game in 1994 for the 3DO. After the 3DO was discontinued, development shifted to the Sony PlayStation. The game was titled Metal Gear Solid rather than Metal Gear 3 due to the fact that the MSX2 versions of the previous Metal Gear games were not widely released, particularly Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake, which was only released in Japan and was not ported to any other platform at the time. A different sequel, Snake's Revenge, was released for the NES in the West instead. The word Solid was chosen due to the switch from 2D to 3D computer graphics. Development for Metal Gear Solid began in mid-1995, with the intention of creating the best PlayStation game ever. In the early stages of development, the Huntington Beach SWAT team educated the creators with demonstrations of vehicles, weapons and explosives. Weapons expert Motosata Mori was also tapped as the technical advisor. Developers aimed for accuracy and realism, whilst making the game enjoyable and tense. Kojima stated that if the player isn't tricked into believing the world is real, then there's no point in making the game. To fulfill this, adjustments were made to every detail, such as individually designing desks. Kojima wanted greater interaction with objects and the environment, such as allowing players to hide bodies in storage compartments, and additionally, he wanted a full orchestra next to the player, a system which made modifications such as tempo and texture to the currently playing track, instead of switching to another pre-recorded track. Although these features couldn't be achieved, they were implemented in the sequel Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty. The characters and mecha designs were made by artist Yoji Shinkawa, based on Kojima's concepts. According to Shinkawa, Solid Snake's physique in this particular installment was based on Jean-Claude Van Damme, while his facial appearance was based on Christopher Walken. Metal Gear Solid was shown to the public first in E3 of 1997 as a short video, and it was playable for the first time at the Tokyo Game Show in 1998, and released that same year in Japan and North America, with an extensive promotional campaign, and an estimated 12 million demos for the game were distributed in 1998. The player must navigate Solid Snake through the game's areas without being detected by enemies. Detection is triggered by the player moving into an enemy's field of vision and setting off an alarm that draws enemies to his location. This also triggers alert mode, and players must then hide and remain undetected, at which point evasion mode begins, and once the counter reaches 0, the game returns to infiltration mode, where the enemies are not suspicious of Snake's presence. To remain undetected, the player can perform techniques which make use of both Solid Snake's abilities and the environment, such as crawling under objects, using boxes as cover, ducking or hiding around walls, and making noise that distracts enemies. An on-screen radar provides the player with the location of nearby enemies and their field of vision. Snake can also make use of items and gadgets, such as infrared goggles and a cardboard box disguise.
Just a box.
The emphasis on stealth promotes a less violent form of gameplay, and despite the switch from 3D, the game is still primarily played from an overhead perspective, similar to the original 2D Metal Gear games. However, the camera angle will change during certain situations, such as corner views when Snake flattens himself against a wall, or in first-person mode when crawling under tight spaces, or using certain items such as binoculars or a sniper rifle. Progress is punctuated by cutscenes and codec calls, as well as encounters with bosses. To progress, players must discover the weakness of each boss to defeat them.
Snake, Meryl's in danger. Find a sniper rifle so you can shoot back at Wolf. It's the only way to save Meryl.
Player controls and strategies can also be accessed via the codec radio, where advice is delivered from Snake's support team. For example, the support team may chastise Snake for not saving his progress, or explain his combat moves in terms of which buttons to press. The codec is also used to provide exposition on the game's backstory. Cinematic cutscenes were rendered using the in-game engine and graphics, and voice acting was used throughout the entire game.
So you killed the chief, you bastard! Liquid? No, you're not. Don't move!
Is this the first time you ever pointed a gun at a person? Your hands are shaking. Can you shoot me, rookie?
Metal Gear Solid to this day is critically acclaimed, and at the time Metal Gear Solid was well received, shipping more than 6 million copies and scoring an average of 94 out of 100 on aggregate website Metacritic. PlayStation Magazine declared it the best PlayStation game ever made, unputdownable and unforgettable. IGN said Metal Gear Solid came closer to perfection than any other game in PlayStation's action genre, as well as saying it was beautiful, engrossing and innovative in every conceivable category. Computer and Video Games compared it to playing a big budget action blockbuster, only better. GamePro called it this season's top offering, and one game no self-respecting gamer should be without, but criticised the frame rate that occasionally stalls the eye-catching graphics. GameSpot was also critical of how easy it is for the player to avoid being seen, as well as the game's short length, calling it more of a work of art than an actual game. Metal Gear received an Excellence Award for Interactive Art in the 1998 Japan Media Arts Festival. The Academy of Interactive Art and Science nominated Metal Gear Solid for its 1998 Outstanding Achievement in Character or Story Development, although the game lost to Pokemon Red and Blue, and to this day it is regarded as one of the greatest and most important video games that's helped popularise the stealth genre. Its success prompted the release of an expanded version for the PlayStation and PC, Metal Gear Solid Integral, and the GameCube remake, Metal Gear Solid The Twin Snakes. The game has also spawned numerous sequels, prequels and spin-offs, including several games, a radio drama, comics and novels.
My name is Roy Campbell. Rank, Colonel. Service number 621-49-5671. Date of birth...
Still want to play games with me, do you?
Metal Gear Solid helped popularise the stealth game genre. The idea of a player being armed and having to avoid being seen by enemies rather than fight them has been used in many games since. It's also sometimes acclaimed as being a film, as much as a game, due to the lengthy cutscenes and complicated storyline. The game is often considered as one of the best PlayStation games, and is often featured on best video games lists. In 2002, IGN ranked it as the best PlayStation game ever, saying that just the demo itself had more gameplay in it than most finished titles. IGN also gave it Best Ending and Best Villain awards.
You've been talking to me, dear brother. Liquid, how the... You've served your purpose. You may die now.
Guinness World Records awarded Metal Gear Solid with a record for the most innovative use of a video game controller for the boss fight with Psycho Mantis in 2008. In 2010, PC Magazine ranked it as 7th in its list of most influential video games of all time, citing its influences on such stealthy titles as Assassin's Creed and Splinter Cell. Metal Gear Solid, along with its sequel Metal Gear Solid 2, were featured in the Smithsonian's American Art Museum exhibition of video games in 2012. During 2015, Eurogamer reanalyzed the game's technical and overall impact and claimed that Metal Gear Solid has been nothing less than the first modern video game. And in September of 2015, Metal Gear Solid was voted as the best original PlayStation game of all time by PlayStation blog users. Hello Ladles and Jelly Spoons, hope you enjoyed that little retrospective. As is tradition with this little series of mine, now that I've talked about the game, I'm actually going to play the game and recount some favourite memories of mine from the first time I played Metal Gear Solid way back in 1998. And indeed I did play it way back in 1998. Some more eagle-eyed, or let's just say more knowledgeable video game fanatics might be saying, but Kai, Metal Gear Solid didn't come out in Europe until 1999, February I believe it was. Well, indeed you are correct. And how did I get to play it in 1998? Well, watch on and find out. So let's get stuck in. Let's just go for a normal game. Now, for those of you that are not so au fait with Metal Gear Solid, and indeed the Metal Gear series, it is a very, let's call it bombastic series. They tell an awful lot of the story through cutscenes and through codec radio calls, and they do take up an awful lot of time. For the sake of this playthrough, I'm going to be cutting an awful lot of them out. Indeed, as you can see what's going on screen now, this is really the sort of introduction into just the first section of the game, this dock section that you've got to get yourself out of. I'll show you a little bit of how exposition can go on for a little bit too long in a second. So here we are, the intro to the game. Let's just pick up a ration there. Ration effectively being your health items. Let's equip them just in case we get seen by a cheeky guard. The guards, can we see them at the minute? Yep, there's one. One just there. There's another one over there somewhere. Obviously the emphasis of the game is to try and sneak past them and not to injure them. You can just go up to them and pick a fight with them and buff them in the face, and sadly you can't take the guns off them, which was always a little bit of a disappointment to me when I first played the game. Yeah, I'm going to warn you now, that little codec ringing thing happens an awful lot in the opening sections of the game, especially this opening section that we'll be playing, so I apologise about that now. Yeah, another ration to our maximum of 2. We can get more as the game progresses. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just sneak this way. Whoops. Sneak around there. Now that's water in front of me. If I go through that, oh yeah, he's heard. He's going to go around that way to investigate. Thank God for that. I have got to wait for the lift to come back down. There isn't anything I can do to get it to come back quicker. That's exactly what that codec call is trying to tell me. You've got to wait for the lift, Snake. You've got to wait for the lift. You can't force the lift, Snake. You've got to wait for it. There's a shocking impression of Colonel Campbell there. For those of you that haven't worked it out because you're not particularly a film buff, or maybe you've just never seen the film, Colonel Campbell is quite obviously based on the Colonel from the Rambo films, particularly Rambo First Blood. I'm just going to slide out otherwise he'll see me. There we go. Oh, fucking come on, elevator. I suppose it's like back in the day when I originally played this, the elevator probably came down way too quickly, but now, you know, I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm just sat here waiting for the elevator. There it is. And it's bringing with it another guard. That's alright, because we're going to just sneak past them and not worry about it. Come on. He's going to look this way. Yep, he is. And he's going to go off down that way. So I'm just going to do that. Go in there. And there we go. into the elevator. While this little bit of exposition plays out, this little cutscene, let me tell you about 1998 and my experiences with Metal Gear Solid. So, Official PlayStation Magazine released a article about Metal Gear Solid, and a friend of mine had it and brought it into school to show me, and I was amazed, I was blown away by this, what looked like a big budget blockbuster film, only it was a video game. I was genuinely really excited to play it. At the end of the review it said, our American cousins and people in Japan are already playing it, but we have to wait until February. Well, I thought, I wonder. But back in those days, I had what was known as a region-free PlayStation, which meant I could play imported video games from Japan and America. I could also play chipped games as well, and I promise I never did that. Honest. No. And I happen to know a guy that could get his hands on imported games. So I read this article, and one day after school I nipped down there, and so I went to him and said, "Oh mate, can you get this game?" And he said, "Yeah, I can, give me a couple of days and come back and I'll have it for you." I was like, "Oh, amazing, absolutely brilliant." In a couple of days, came back. I seem to remember it was a weekend. I got it on a Friday night and came back, and I think I literally played it for the entire weekend. Literally started it Saturday morning, sort of late Saturday morning. Sort of took breaks for breakfast, lunch, dinner, sleeping. Although I think my first playthrough of Metal Gear Solid was definitely one of those times when I got a little bit told off by my mother for staying up until 4 in the morning playing video games. But yeah, absolutely adored it. An idea of what the exposition and storytelling is like in the Metal Gear series. Let's just sit back and have a little bit of a watch, shall we? Oh, no, no. Still exposition going on. Sorry.
You want to get in.
And about to play in the game. Whew. So yeah, so that should give you a rough idea of what the exposition dumps and the storytelling is like in the Metal Gear series. I'm not joking. That was a small example. It can get pretty ridiculous. Do I need the other rations up here? No, I don't. Okay, so let's see if I've still got what it takes to avoid the security spotlights. Probably not. In fact, actually, first thing I'm going to do is go this way and a surveillance camera. Yeah. Go around that. Now I could go into the compound that way through there. Let's just put the scope up. I can't actually remember what the things are for. Is it? That's it. Yeah, I could go that way, but I'm not going to. I am, however, going to get myself a gun. There's one in the back of here. There we go. Now let's see if I can remember. See if I can still do. Oops. No. It's the other way around. It has to go the other way. That way, and I have to go that way. There we go. Excellent. Got the chaff grenades. Now the chaff grenades effectively are what you use to take out electrical equipment. It just stuns. Stun grenades stun people, chaff grenades stun electrical things. Oh, that guy's going that way, so I'm going to go this way. Stairs. Go on, move. Oh, shit. I think to be fair, I just want to say, I think this shot here just shows, okay, graphics are a lot better in this day and age, but in 1998, this genuinely blew my mind. I was like, oh my god, it is like playing a film. The Kodak's going to go off, and it's basically going to say, "There's a thing to crawl through there, Snake." Yeah, I know, I can see it. Well done, you daft buggers. Right. And that indeed is where A, the game starts to really sort of open up, and B, get a little bit more weird. But unfortunately that is where we're going to leave it today, Ladles and Jelly Spoons. I hope you have enjoyed this little look at Metal Gear Solid, 20 years, 20 years old this year. If by all means you enjoyed this video, please hit the old like button, maybe even subscribe for new videos every Wednesday at 6 PM British Standard Time. Tenchu Stealth Assassins is an action-adventure stealth game developed by Acquire and published by Sony Music Entertainment Japan in Japan and Activision in North America and Europe. It was developed for the PlayStation 1 in 1998. So you know what, lads, that means Tenchu is 20 years old. Tenchu is known for its stealth gameplay and its eerie settings of feudal Japan. It was one of the first games to incorporate stealth successfully, a very crucial aspect of ninjutsu, the martial arts style in the game. However, aside from featuring traditional martial arts in battle, the game incorporates elements of historical fantasy and Japanese mythology. The game features 10 levels, which are introduced in increasing difficulty. All of the levels take place at night to compensate for the technical limitations of the PlayStation. The game's high rate of redraw is reduced by setting the events at night and reducing the distance that the player can see. The player can pick either protagonist, Rikimaru or Ayame, as the playable character for each level. Their storylines vary considerably, yet they experience the same levels and missions. Rikimaru is the older of the two and is the primary character of the game. Armed with a single ninjato, he is stronger than Ayame, but relatively slower. Ayame carries a pair of tanto and is faster and has more combos, but is the weaker of the two.
You've been a bad boy. It's payback time.
Both characters are armed with a grappling hook, which allows them to zip up to the top of buildings and freely move across rooftops, which gave the game a sense of verticality, which was rare amongst most action-adventure games of that time. Many of the bosses react differently to the two ninja based on their gender, highlighting the social attitudes of the time.
Excellent. You will bring me great honor.
Oh, Ayame, my father will be so very pleased with you.
All missions, including the initial training mission, can be replayed an unlimited number of times, but mission 2 and onwards cannot be accessed without the previous chapter being successfully completed. There are 3 different layouts used to distribute enemies, obstacles and items spread over a level's map. On playing the training level, only several throwable deadly objects and the grappling hook are automatically selected as interactive objects. The weapons selection section contains throwing knives, kunai or shuriken depending on the game version, smoke bombs, cattle trops, poison rice cakes, coloured rice, healing potions, grenades and mines. Advanced items that you get for completing a mission with the rank of Grand Master are such things as super shuriken or kunai, lightfoot scrolls, Fire Eater Scrolls, Protection Amulets, Sleeping Gas, Ninja Armour, Shadow Decoys, Resurrection Leaf, Chameleon Spells, Dog Bones and a Decoy Whistle. These are optional to use in the mission, but are limited to a number of objects overall. The grappling hook is permanently locked into your inventory and does not consume an item space. If the player fails the mission, their character dies, sometimes being ridiculed by the boss, and the text "Mission fails" will appear on the screen, in front of a grave of their respective character. All the items that he or she has acquired or taken with them are permanently lost until found in future missions. Therefore, a player should not risk selecting a large number of objects to use in a mission. If a player is successful in a mission, they will be scored and ranked, and their time will be recorded onto the game system and compared to previous attempts. The game takes place in feudal Japan, introducing a pair of ninjas, Rikimaru and Ayame. They have been members of the Azuma ninja clan since childhood, and the two ninjas serve the heroic Lord Goda and work for him as his secret spies to root out corruption and gather intelligence within his province. However, an evil demonic sorcerer, Lord Mayo, seeks to destroy Lord Goda, and using his demon warrior Unikage, wreaks havoc throughout Lord Goda's province.
So weak.
A video of an early prototype build of the game was featured in a later release, Tenchu Shinobi Hyakusen, showing a science fiction type ninja game whose gameplay style was very different from the one in the final version. Famous Ninja Rolls actor and martial artist Sho Kasuji and his son Kane were hired as motion capture actors for the game's combat moves. The original Japanese version of the game is somewhat different from the Western version and a later re-release. The game came with 8 levels, and each level only had one layout. The option screen, character select screen and level select screen all came with different graphics. The boss characters had different weapons, and before each level there is a small amount of Japanese dialogue that gives more detail into the game. The fighting moves were also different, whereas on the later versions mashing buttons for attack is all well and good, but this version each strike must be timed to get the full fury of the moves, and the 180-degree reversal roll has also been taken out. So Tenchu was re-released in Japan in February of 1999, with many updates including the different mission layouts and all stages seen in the American and European versions. They also added 4 selectable languages: Japanese, English, Italian and French. The main feature of this version though was the mission editor, which the possibilities for creating your own missions were endless, and it generated a special edition disc with 100 of the best missions created by Japanese players, called Tenchu Shinobi Hyakusen. Hyakusen is an expansion pack for Tenchu, and it was released in November of 1999 for the PlayStation. It's a standalone expansion, meaning it did not require the main disc to play. Tenchu had achieved sales of over 250,000 copies in Japan by the June of 1998, before its release in the United States. Tenchu Stealth Assassins received favourable reviews according to video game review aggregator Metacritic, and it was ranked 54th in the top games of all time by staff at Game Informer in 2001. They said, Tenchu Stealth Assassins shows the gaming world that it takes more than just dark clothes and pointy throwing objects to make it as a ninja, forcing players to learn and utilise stealth techniques, not only to excel, but to merely survive. Tenchu is a challenging, nerve-wracking game that leaves you screaming in frustration and then crawling back for more. Hello Ladles and Jelly Spoons, this is normally the part of the video where you'd see me play through a bit of the game that I've been talking about and give you my experiences and my feelings on the game. However, this month I've decided to do something a little bit different and at the same time showcase another video creator chum of mine, Mr. Richard Dickey York. There's a link to his channel there if you would like to go and check it out, and there's also a link in the description down below. See Dickey, that's how you shout out a channel in a YouTube video, just saying. A while back we decided to challenge each other to see who could complete the training mission of Tenchu Stealth Assassins with the best score, and this is what happened. Enjoy. My name's Kohigh Mathy, better known as Dougie, and this is my colleague Dickey.
Hello and welcome to another of DVD Challenges.
Thanks Dickey Babes. Yes, Dickey has challenged me to the training level in Tenchu Stealth Assassins, the PlayStation 1 1998 classic. So Dickey, what kind of prep have you done?
I have practiced a tiny little bit just to get used to the controllers, because I'm using my 360 controller. I'll tell you now, it's not a very good crossover.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, Dickey's using the 360 controller. I have decided to use the PlayStation 4 controller. I don't know if you feel this gives me the unfair advantage. I've had a little bit of a practice as well. What I will say is a bit of an unfair advantage is Dickie, 1998, Tenchu Stealth Assassins. That was my jam, son. I apologise in advance. Let's get into it.
So here we go. I'm of course going to play this sexy lady. Yeah.
I have chosen Ricky Maru.
I trained a little bit. I've just practiced on some of the controls just to get me used to it, to see if they're working fine as well. So we'll just see. Ooh, here we go. That's how you do this one. I struggled with the camera here. This is my only issue with this game, is the camera. Oh. Hey, you know what? They've done something right in this game.
Straight into it. And did it.
One thing I like in this game as well is the soundtrack. I actually started listening to a bit of the soundtrack recently.
Okay. Ooh, hang on. Ooh. Okay, that was lucky. I thought I'd effect up. Kill him. There you go.
I want to saw your head off with my knife. Oh! I don't know if he saw me then.
Right, this guy is a bit of a bitch. Is he? No. Turn around. There we go. Okay, can I pull this off?
Oh god. This spearman down here is bugger. He's the right bugger. I remember when he starts turning around and you run. Oh yes. Welcome to the pain train. Population U.
Oh! Just too short, didn't quite manage it. Okay, then up towards the wall. And make sure he doesn't see me. Ooh. He's gone facing the wrong way. In the back.
I can't remember how bloody far this next. Yeah. Oh shit. That was a bit stupid. No, Mr. Ninja, there is no woman running around hacking your friends up. I always mess it up on these corners. Oh, so still one hit on the back kills him straight away. So yeah, just these two guys down here which I struggle with.
Right, these chaps. Now, as far as I can remember, the way to do these is basically to do them quite quickly. So I'll go for him first.
So crawl this way into this corner. If I remember rightly, a few years ago, what I used to do is crawl in this corner so you can see.
Can I? Oh, fuck. As well. Get him.
So the archer is looking away now.
And then get the archer before he turns around. You'd think you'd have heard that, really, wouldn't you?
Come on, get him.
What? Hey! Yeah!
Don't you throw your bows at me, bitch.
Yeah!
Oh, there we go. I'm showing off a little bit there. He's turning around. There we go. And dead.
Show yourself.
No, I've gone away. I've gone to get a cup of tea. Well, I think that was the hardest part here. It's the camera angles. Come on. Graphics in this game are amazing. Really are. That's it. Go. Come on, lady. Oh, God. I wish you could do that move to me. Yeah, that move. My God, I can't remember any of this.
Excellent. You will bring me great honor.
My father will be satisfied.
Oh, will he? So, there you go, Mr. Douglas, the conclusion of my DVD challenge, Master Ninja. 6 out of 7 undetected kills, 1 detected kill, spotted 3 times, which I think was quite appalling, really. Total of 304 points, but did it in 4 minutes and 51 seconds.
Boom! Grandmaster 111. Stick that in your pipe and smoke it. Hope you enjoyed that, Ladles and Jelly Spoons. We certainly did. If you want to check out the other videos in my retrospective review anniversary series, they should be up here. There is also a link in the description down below. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit the old like button, and if you'd like to see more video game retrospective reviews, please be sure to hit the old subscribe button, and if you'd like to see more of this mush, please be sure to hit the old subscribe button. We upload videos every Wednesday at 6 PM British Standard Time, and we shall see you next week. And if you have made it this far, Ladles and Jelly Spoons, thank you very much for making it to the end of the video.
It looks like your party has been cancelled.
Spooky, scary skeletons and shivers down your spine.
Resident Evil 2, known in Japan as Biohazard 2, is a survival horror game developed and published by Capcom and released for the Sony PlayStation in 1998. The player controls Leon S. Kennedy and Claire Redfield, who must escape Raccoon City after its citizens have been transformed into
zombies
by a biological weapon 2 months after the events of the original Resident Evil.
Jill sandwich.
The gameplay focuses on exploration, puzzles and combat. The main difference from its predecessor are its branching paths, with each protagonist having unique storylines and obstacles. Resident Evil 2 was directed by Hideki Kamiya and produced by Shinji Mikami, director of the first Resident Evil, and it was developed by a team of 40 to 50 people over 21 months. Resident Evil 2 received praise for its atmosphere, setting, graphics and audio, and has appeared on a list of several best games ever made. However, its controls, voice acting, inventory system and puzzles have garnered it some criticism. It is, however, the most popular Resident Evil game for a single platform, selling well over 1 million copies on the PlayStation, and it's also been ported to Windows, the Nintendo 64, the Dreamcast, the GameCube, and a modified 2.5 version was released for the Gamescom handheld. The story of Resident Evil 2 was retold and built upon in several later games, and has been adapted into various licenses of work. It was followed by Resident Evil 3 Nemesis in 1999, and a remake, also entitled Resident Evil 2, is due for release in January 2019.
Get back!
As a survival horror game, Resident Evil 2 features the same basic gameplay mechanics as its predecessor Resident Evil. The player explores a fictional city while solving puzzles and fighting monsters. The game's 2 protagonists may be equipped with firearms, but limited ammunition adds a tactical element to weapon use. On the status screen, the player can check the condition of the protagonist, use medicine to heal their wounds, and assign weapons. The character's current health can also be determined by their posture and movement speed. For example, a character will hold their stomach in pain if they're wounded, or will limp slowly if they're on the verge of death. The protagonist may carry a limited number of items, and may store other items in boxes placed throughout the game world. Each protagonist is joined by a support partner during the course of their story, and these characters accompany the player in certain scenes, and occasionally become playable. Certain rooms contain typewriters that players may use to save their game, however each save expands one of the limited number of ink ribbons which the player must collect within the game world. The main addition over the preceding games is the zapping system, by which each of the 2 playable characters are confronted with different puzzles and storylines in their respective scenarios. After finishing the A scenario with one protagonist, a B scenario in which the events are depicted from the other character's perspective is unlocked. The player has the option of starting an A scenario with either of the 2 protagonists, resulting in a total of 4 different scenarios. Actions taken in the first playthrough affect the second. For example, the availability of a certain item may be altered. After each game, the player receives a ranking based on the total time taken to complete the scenario and the number of saves and special healing items used. Depending on the player's accomplishments, bonus weapons and costumes may be unlocked as a reward. The original version of Resident Evil 2 contains 2 standalone minigames, the Fourth Survivor and the Tofu Survivor. In both of these minigames, play must reach the goal whilst fighting enemies along the way with only the default loadout. All later versions, except the Nintendo 64 version, added a third minigame, Extreme Battle, which consists of 4 playable characters and 3 stages. On September 29th, 1998, 2 months after the events of the first Resident Evil, most of the citizens of the Midwest American mountain community Raccoon City have been transformed into zombies by the T-virus, a biological weapon secretly developed by the pharmaceutical company Umbrella. Leon S. Kennedy, a police officer on his first day of duty, and Claire Redfield, a college student looking for her brother Chris, make their way to Raccoon City's police department. They discover that most of the police force has been killed, and that Chris is left to investigate Umbrella headquarters in Europe. They split up to look for survivors and find a way out. While searching for an escape route, Claire meets a little girl, Sherry Birkin, who is on the run from an unknown creature, and Leon encounters Ada Wong, who claims to be looking for her boyfriend John, an Umbrella researcher.
Sorry about that.
Development of Resident Evil 2 began 1 month after the completion of its predecessor in early 1996. The first footage of the game was shown at the V-Jump Festival in '96. This early build, later dubbed Resident Evil 1.5, produced by Shinji Mikami, differs dramatically from the released version in scenarios, presentation and gameplay mechanics. Its plot follows the same basic outline of Resident Evil 2 and features a zombie outbreak in Raccoon City 2 months after the events of the first game. However, in this version, Umbrella had already been closed down as a consequence of their illegal experimentation. The development team sought to retain the same level of fear from the original game, and thus introduced to the narrative 2 new characters who lacked experience dealing with terrifying situations: Leon Kennedy, largely identical to his persona in the final build, and Eliza Walker, a college student and motorcycle racer who was vacationing in her hometown of Raccoon City. Unlike the final version, the story paths of Leon and Eliza do not cross, and each character has 2 support characters instead of just 1. Leon received help from fellow police officer Marvin Branner and a researcher named Linda, an early build version of Ada, whilst Eliza was aided by Sherry Birkin and a man named John, who appears in Resident Evil 2 as the gun shop owner Robert Kendo. There were also more encounters with surviving policemen, such as a superior officer to Leon called Roy. The police department in which Resident Evil 1.5 began had more of a modern and realistic design, and was smaller than the final build seen in Resident Evil 2. The number of polygons used for enemy models was far lower than the released version as well. This allowed for more zombies to appear on screen, a method of invoking fear in the player that recurred throughout Resident Evil 1.5. Furthermore, the game employed dynamic music and frequently applied alterations to the pre-rendered background in response to events during gameplay. The playable character could be equipped with gear such as protective clothing that enhanced their defences and enabled them to carry more items, and the character's polygon models were altered by the costume changes and the damage received from enemies. The development of the game was carried out by 40 to 50 people and was led by the director Hideki Kamiya. The team composed of new Capcom employees and over half of the staff of the original Resident Evil.
Jill Sandwich.
In the initial stages of development, producer Mikami often had creative disagreements with Kamiya and tried to influence the team with his own direction. He eventually, however, stepped back to an overseeing role as producer and only demanded to be shown the current build once a month, believing that the game's assets to be good individually but not yet satisfactory as a whole. Mikami expected everything to come together within 3 months leading up to the projected May 1997 release date. Shortly thereafter, however, Resident Evil 1.5 was scrapped at the development stage of 60 to 80% complete, Mikami later explaining that the game would not have reached the desired level of quality for the aforementioned period, and especially frowned upon the gameplay and the locations for being dull and boring. The story of Resident Evil 1.5, with which Mikami plans to end the series, was criticised by supervisor Yoshiki Okamoto, who found it to be too conclusive to allow for further installments. Instead, Okamoto posed the creation of a fictional universe, which would turn Resident Evil into a meta-series, similar to Gundam or James Bond, in which self-contained stories with a common element could be told. During a period in which the team made no progress rewriting the scenario, Okamoto was introduced to professional screenwriter Nobuo Sugimura, who was enthusiastic about the game's story. Sugimura was initially consulted on a trial basis, but Okamoto was so impressed by the ease in which the writer came up with solutions to the problems that plagued the script, he soon asked him to compose the entire scenario for Resident Evil 2. One of the fundamental modifications to the story was the reworking of Eliza Walker into Claire Redfield, giving players that link to the original game. Only a few assets from Resident Evil 1.5 could be recycled, as the principal locations for the final build were made to look more extravagant and artistic, based upon photographs taken by the interiors of Western-style buildings in Japanese cities. Apart from the graphics, one of the most important new features was the zapping system, which was partially inspired by Back to the Future Part 2, a time-travelling film sequel that offered a different perspective on a story from the original film. The voiceovers by the all-Canadian cast for Resident Evil 2 were recorded before the actual cutscenes were completed, with each of the actors selected from the roster of 10 people per role thereafter. The full-motion videos, FMVs, were created by filming stop-motion animations of action figures, which were then rendered into complete pictures with computer graphics CG tools. Ada's movie model could not be finished in time, and thus she's the only main character not to appear in a pre-rendered cutscene. Several changes had to be made between regional releases of Resident Evil 2. The North American version contained a more violent game over screen, which was removed from the Japanese Biohazard 2. After its initial release for the PlayStation in January of 1998, Resident Evil 2 was reissued and ported to other systems, often gaining new features in the process. The first re-release was the DualShock version, which incorporated support for the PlayStation's DualShock controller. Other additions included a new unlockable minigame called Extreme Battle and Rookie Mode that enabled the player to start the main story with a powerful weapon and unlimited ammunition. The Japanese release of the DualShock version contained a USA version, a mode based on the difficulty level of Resident Evil 2's Western release. The DualShock version served as the base for the majority of ports, such as the Windows PC CD version Resident Evil 2 Platinum. Aside from retaining all the previous added features, the PC version ran at higher resolutions, and a data gallery was added to the main menu, allowing players to view movies, rough sketches, illustrations and 3D models. In February of 2006, a Japanese exclusive Windows XP compatible PC DVD was released that included higher quality FMVs. The Dreamcast version keeps all the additions from the PC release and incorporates a real-time display of the character's condition on the VMU, Visual Memory Unit. The Japanese edition of the Dreamcast port was given the subtitle Value Plus and came with a playable demo of Resident Evil Code Veronica. An unmodified port of the DualShock version was released for the Nintendo GameCube, and the initial PlayStation version was re-released for the Japanese PlayStation Network in 2007, whilst the North American counterpart received the DualShock version 2 years later. The Nintendo 64 version of Resident Evil 2 differs the most from all other releases. It is one of the very few games on the system to have FMVs, despite the limited storage space on the cartridge. Over the course of 12 months and with a budget of $1 million, Resident Evil 2 was ported to the N64 by a team of 9 full-time people and 1 part-time person from Angel Studios, with further help provided by a staff of 10 from Capcom's Production Studio 3 and Factor 5. This version offers features that were not included in any other system release, such as alternative costumes and the ability to adjust the degree of violence and change the colour of blood, a randomizer to place items differently through each playthrough, and a more responsive first-person control system. Additionally, the port features 16 new in-game documents known as the EX files, hidden throughout all 4 scenarios, and they reveal information about the series lore and connect the story of Resident Evil 2 to other installments, including some installments that hadn't even been released at the time. A port was considered for the Sega Saturn and was in development at Capcom for a time, but technical difficulties led to its cancellation in October of 1998. But probably the most infamous port is the Tiger Electronics sprite-based 2.5D version for their Game.com handheld in late 1998. It includes only Leon's story path and removes several of the game's core features. And finally, in February 2013, an unfinished build of Resident Evil 1.5 was leaked onto the internet. Resident Evil 2 received critical acclaim. However, in Italy, Resident Evil 2 was temporarily banned in 1999, following criticisms from the political civil rights movement for its realistic depiction of violence. With law enforcement agencies seizing over 5,500 unsold copies, Sony Computer Entertainment asked for a re-examination of the seizure, and the ban was lifted a few months later. The original PlayStation release holds an average 89 to 100 points on Metacritic, and the majority of reviews praised Resident Evil 2 for its atmosphere, setting, graphics and audio, but criticised its controls and voice acting and certain gameplay elements. IGN thought the game's atmosphere was dead on claiming that the graphics, sound effects, music and level design all worked well to create a spooky, horror-filled world. GameSpot shared the opinion and found the game to be like a production out of Hollywood. They believed that it was more like an interactive cinematic experience than a video game. GameSpy and Eurogamer praised the zapping system for adding to the story and increasing the replay value of the game. They thought the idea of actions in the first scenario affecting the second was a cool concept, but said that it was underused in the game. Resident Evil probably has one of the most robust legacies within the video gaming sphere. We've seen comic book adaptations that try and focus on characters from the original game, such as Barry. We've seen romantic comedy takes on Resident Evil 2, focusing around Claire, Leon and Ada. We've seen a more direct novelization of Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil City of the Dead, written by S.D. Perry, who also wrote a series of novelizations for most of the Resident Evil series, all the way up to Resident Evil 0. There have been mobile games, Resident Evil Uprising, that's a condensed version of the Resident Evil 2 story, Resident Evil The Dark Side Chronicles, which was the on-rail shooter for the Wii, released in 2009, which has a reimagining of the Resident Evil 2 plot. We've seen Resident Evil 2 audio dramas developed by Capcom staff, one focusing on Sherry Birkin straight after the events of Resident Evil 2, where she's separated from Claire after they're trying to escape from Umbrella soldiers, sent in to cover up and kill any survivors of Raccoon City. And finally, we have Spy Ada, which is set a few days after Resident Evil 2, and it deals with Ada's mission to try and retrieve Sherry Birkin's pendant that had the G-Virus sample in it, which is said to be in the possession of Hunk, and is probably one of the more fleshed out additional stories in the Resident Evil universe.
Put on the battered desktop and looked at Wesker. You're sending Bravo in. The captain gazed back at him impassively, arms folded across his chest. Standard procedure, Chris. Chris sat down, frowning. Yeah, but with what we talked about last week, I thought...
And finally, as I'm sure we're all aware, we have the Resident Evil 2 remake, due for release in January 2019. It was announced in August of 2015, and is set for release on the PlayStation 4, Xbox One and Windows. Well, Ladles and Jelly Spoons, wasn't that interesting? Yes, you know the crack by now. This is the bit of the video where I play a little bit of the game and give you my experiences with it and my feelings on it. This one is a little bit different though, chaps, because today we'll be playing this. Yes, this is my copy of Resident Evil the Director's Cut that came with the Resident Evil 2 demo. Just because I have such fond memories of this game, going away and buying it. So let's get into it. So whilst we get into the game, let me tell you a little bit about my experiences. I've not played this demo disc since probably about 1997. There was a TV show in the UK called Games Master. Our American cousins might not be aware of it. I was very much aware of it. Look it up. I'm not going to go into the details about it, but it was watching that one day, and they had this news section. They said there's going to be a sequel to Resident Evil called Resident Evil 2. It's due out next year. There's going to be a demo released for it in the Resident Evil Director's Cut. And here it is, that's it, slap bang, yes, excellent, lovely. Oh, no. Anyway, there might be a few glitches on it. I am playing it through a PlayStation 3. I remember hearing about it after watching Games Master. I immediately went out. I remember I went after school one day to pick up a copy of it, and I was really nervous because it's a certificate 15, if you can see there, and I was only just 15. So I was really paranoid that the guy behind the counter wasn't going to believe that I was 15 and wouldn't tell me, and I was like, oh, come on. So I remember I sort of went into Virgin Megastore, remember them. Went, and to be fair, it was dead easy. The guy was clearly getting to the end of the day. And I'm in! And it was clearly the end of the day, and the guy didn't give two hoots about who was selling this game to. I think he just wanted to finish for the day. Still got it. I appreciate, I think it is a little bit dark. Is there anything I can do about it? Oops, it didn't. Oops. Just, there we go, get through there. Bang in, through the door. Now you're going to see some of that classic Resident Evil bad voice acting.
Freeze!
Who are you? What are you doing here?
I mean, I've just clearly opened the door very well.
Hold your fire! I'm a human!
Interestingly enough, if you play the game as Claire, the first scenario is Claire, he refers to her as Babe, so he's like, sorry about that, Babe. I used to think that was hilarious when I was a kid.
I don't have a clue.
Sorry about that, Babe. I think it became a bit of a saying between me and my friends.
The entire city was infested with zombies.
Right, so that's good old Robert Kendo. Now, I don't know if in this demo, if there's the Brad secret, if you don't pick anything up on the way to the police station. Do you know, to say that I played this demo to death when I was a kid, I don't remember this weird... Yeah, I don't remember that. Is there an alternative? If I had any room, I can see my progress. I thought there was another. Now, there we go. Oh! Now, I can't remember if you can run in. Grab the shotgun. Grab the shotgun. I've been bitten twice. Grab that shotgun, Leon. Grab that shotgun. Come on. Run. Leg it. Leg it. Leg it. Yeah, I mean, I've played Resident Evil quite recently, Resident Evil 2. Played... Oh, can you get down the other side of this? Oh yeah, because this layout's slightly different, isn't it? Yeah. Go on. There we go. Just I did that one for the kids. That one's for you, yeah. So anyway, after I had bought the game from Virgin Megastore, yeah, so bought the game from Virgin Megastore, so it wasn't a problem, got it home, actually popped in Resident Evil first and played that for about an hour just to see what the game was like, and I was like, yeah, actually this is quite cool. Made the mistake of picking Chris on my first ever playthrough, so that was a bit of a, yeah, effect up a bit there, but there you go. You can't get, this one's locked, isn't it? Yeah, go in here, preview. Also, they don't have the 180 quick turn in this, which is a pain. Let's see. It's locked. The letter P is etched beneath the keyhole. I think you have to go. And yeah, so played it for about an hour. Was really into it. Thought, yeah, this is quite cool. And then thought, right, now I want to see Resident Evil 2. I want to see what all the fuss is about. Put it in. I kid you not. I played the demo, played all the way through it, and immediately played it again. Like literally, it finished, and I was just like, right, I'm playing that again. I'm playing that demo again. That is awesome. Get off me, you swine! There we go. Okay, now precinct key is the one that's got P etched on it, yeah. I am genuinely missing the quick turn. Oh, you can get in the bin, mate. It shows again. Yeah, say like to say I genuinely played this over and over and over again until Resident Evil 2 was actually released. To be fair, I mean, I've probably played Resident Evil more times now than I've actually played this demo. But Jesus, no, it's good. Yes. But I'm gonna have to plug in my actual PlayStation just to check if that squelching noise is a glitch. Oh, should be a thing here. Here it comes, here it comes. What was that? So, again, for people who have never played a Resident Evil game, oops, you know, this is as good as it gets. I'm not. Ooh. Right, now, there's a guy there, clearly without a head. He seems to have... Oh, again, this is demo, this is original game-itis, this is. Yeah, sorry, I know what's coming. In Resident Evil 2, you check his body again, he's got some bullets on him. But clearly, not in the preview. Woo! Okay. Okay. Yeah, not so tough, are you now? You get the FMV sequence, obviously, in the full game, and it's a little bit more terrifying. Right, don't need to see you anymore, do I? Do I need to go into this room? Can I go into this room? It's locked. No, letter L, is it? No, letter L. This is actually, you know, I'm sort of discovering, oh, I actually know fuck all about this demo, because again, not played it for so many years. Bullets! Bullets! Don't think you get any more. I'm pretty sure you don't. You only get that set of shotgun shells now. Oh, I think this use. Oh yeah, there you go. One of the first puzzles. I don't know if you actually need the red jewel. Maybe you do. Do I need it for the... Hang on. Is that a map of the precinct? No, it's not. Oh well. I thought it was going to be a map of the precinct. Yeah, so for those of you who've never played a Resident Evil game before, then, by the way, I know I'm going back on myself. I'm just going back into the... to the main entrance to see if I have to put this somewhere. The red jewel. So yeah, it's like this game has obviously got very strong undertones of like classic zombie movies in it, and I just remember when I was when I was about 14, 15, 16, I was sort of very much getting into zombie movies, and I was like, oh god, you know, these are amazing. So obviously when I saw this... No, okay, obviously... Was I meant to have checked the computer then? No, I should have done this on my first... I should have done it on my first pass through. I know. People are probably screaming at me going, hey, why did you do this? You should have done this. Oh. Lovely. Again, every time you see me do like a little step back like that, it's because muscle memory is telling me to do the 180 reverse, which, if I'm right, wasn't introduced until, was it the DualShock version of Resident Evil 2? Or possibly, actually, Resident Evil 3. Because I've played Resident Evil 3 quite recently. I was having a bit of a change up because I thought, do you know what, I've not actually, where is it? It's up here. Having a bit of play of good old Resident Evil 3 there. Because I thought to myself, I've not played it for a while. I don't think I've played through, well, I played through Resident Evil fairly recently, but I hadn't, until then I hadn't played through it for a good couple of years, and I was like, oh, I think it's probably time to play through it again. Okay, clearly I need to put the gem. Either the gem is completely useless, or I have to use it somewhere else. It's a lady zombie! Yeah. Let's see if I can get into it. It's locked. The letter S is... Is there a... Oh, no, there isn't. Can I get into here? I can. Another save room. That music. I am telling you now, that music. Oh, there is a chest in here. Ditch that. Handgun bullets, yeah, I'll take them. First aid spray. I don't necessarily think I need another first aid spray. I could put that one in. Okay. And then what we're going to do is combine those two, and then combine those two. Excellent. Don't think you get anything else in here. The other thing that I loved about Resident Evil 2 in particular, which the other thing that I love particularly about Resident Evil 2 is, if you've ever seen, I think I did put it into the video beforehand, is yes, this puzzle is still here. The trailer in Japan was directed by George A. Romero for the game, and he was actually originally down to direct the film, the Resident Evil films, but there was, I can't quite remember the ins and outs of it, but basically it got shifted to Paul W.S. Anderson, who a lot of people say did a bad job of the films. I think the first film is... The first two films I think are probably the best of a bad bunch. They ain't great. I think everyone has to sort of admit that. I have a little bit of a guilty pleasure for the first two. I was like, actually, do you know what? They're not horrendous. And I actually, to a degree, I actually agree with his standpoint on when critics say, why did you not just do the plotline of the first game? And he was like, well, if you want to know the plotline of the first game, go and play the first game. It was like, he was his own take on it, and I have a certain amount of respect for that. Okay, so you do get both gems. Okay. Yes, I will. Oh, there's more zombies in here. Let's see if I can, whoops, let's see if I can make it past you. There we go. Don't know if I need to, is there one down here as well? Yes, there is. Let's go that way. Schooled him! But I'm gonna blow your bloody head off anyway. Oh god! Again, I'm trying to do the... Hang on. Yep. Oh. Jeff's gonna get up. Excuse me. Aha! So now I can tell I'm genuinely on caution. Oh, go on. I'll use the first aid spray. Go on. Ooh. And so here we are in the Stars office, which I like. Do you know what? The minute because I had played the first game for about an hour and sort of got the general gist of like the Stars team and whatnot, then actually to play this bit in the demo, I was like, oh my god, that's amazing! Like this is where like the Stars come from. It's to be a replica gun. It's probably a member of the NRA. I think that's exactly what is said in. Oh no, that's exactly what it says in Resident Evil 2. I was thinking about Resident Evil 3. I was like, no, because Jill knows. And I'm like, one of these desks is Jill's. Chris's desk there. Take the diary. Chris's diary. I talked to the chief today once again, but he wouldn't listen to me. I'm absolutely positive that Umbrella conducted research on the T-virus in that mansion, but the entire mansion went up in that explosion, along with any incriminating evidence. Since so many people in this town are employees at Umbrella's chemical plant, no one is willing to talk about the incident. I'm just running out of options. August 17th, 1998. Recently, a series of strange incidents have been occurring locally. People say strange monsters are appearing at random throughout the city. This must be the work of Umbrella. With the help of Jill and Barry, I finally obtained information vital to this case. Umbrella has begun research on a new G virus, a variant of the original T virus. What does this G virus do? We've talked it over and have decided to fly to the main Umbrella headquarters in Europe. I won't tell my sister about this trip because doing so could put her in danger. Please forgive me, Claire. It's been filed. So Chris's desk, I think Jill's desk is that one, and then I think Rebecca's desk is this one. In fact, what do you mean I think? I fucking know, alright? Another first aid spray, excellent, there you go, just in case. Can I get... No, the other shotgun is in there, and then... Tame the precinct. Ada Wong. Ooh. There we go. The nightmare has just begun, I'm guessing he's going to say. Oh, it's only just begun. So there we are, Ladles and Jelly Spoons. That is the Resident Evil 2 demo. Like I say, when I played this back in 1997, I immediately got to this bit and I was like, fuck that, I'm playing it again. Amazing demo, an amazing game. If there's ever going to be a game I'm going to scream and shout from the rooftops to, if you have never played it, play it. Resident Evil 2 is it. But for now, Ladles and Jelly Spoons, thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed this, please hit the old like button and subscribe to this channel for more random content. And I shall see you next Wednesday at 6 PM British Standard Time. Bye for now.
Some people in this city are too rich for their own good. Lucky they have me to give them a hand.
Thief: The Dark Project is a first-person stealth video game developed by Looking Glass Studios and published by Eidos Interactive. It was released in November in 1998 and this year marks its 20th anniversary. Set in a medieval steampunk metropolis called The City, the player takes the role of Garrett, a master thief trained by a secret society who, whilst carrying out a series of robberies, becomes embroiled in a complex plot that ultimately sees him attempting to prevent a great power from unleashing chaos on the world. Thief was the first PC stealth game to use light and sound as game mechanics and combined a complex artificial intelligence to allow immersive gameplay. The game is noted for its use of the first-person perspective for non-confrontational gameplay, which challenges the first-person shooter market and led to the developers to call it a first-person sneaker, whilst it also has influences in later stealth games such as Splinter Cell and Hitman. The game received critical acclaim and has been placed on numerous Hall of Fame lists, achieving sales of over 500,000 units by the year 2000, and making it Looking Glass Studios' most commercially successful game. Thief was followed by Thief 2: The Metal Age in 2000 and Thief: Deadly Shadows in 2004, and a reboot of the series in 2014 simply titled Thief. Thief takes place from a first-person perspective in a 3D environment, with the game's story taking place over a series of missions, in which Garrett is able to perform various actions such as leaning, crouching, swimming, climbing, running, fighting, amongst other abilities. The levels are largely unscripted and maze-like, which allows for emergent gameplay. The NPCs may either remain stationary or walk around on patrol routes, and players have the freedom to choose how to get around the obstacles in the level's environments in order to complete a specific task, such as getting through a locked door. In each level, the player is given a set of objectives to complete, such as stealing a specific object, which they must complete in order to get to the next level. The player can choose to play on one of 3 different difficulty settings before starting each level, which they can change in between missions, with higher difficulty levels adding additional objectives, such as not killing human NPCs, or stealing a certain amount of loot from the amount available within the level, changing the amount of health the player character has, and changing how sensitive the NPCs are to their environment. In some missions, players may find objectives being changed or new ones being added due to certain circumstances they encounter, whilst failing a key objective or dying will fail a level, forcing the player to either replay it or load up a previous save. As the game's emphasis is on stealth, players are encouraged to focus on concealment, invasion, distraction, misdirection, and subtle takedowns, rather than all-out confrontation. The player can engage in sword-based combat when the need arises, and can perform 3 attacks as well as a parry, but has limited proficiency and damage resistance in such circumstances. Players must remain aware of their surroundings to assist them in remaining hidden. A special meter on the HUD in the form of a gem helps players indicate their visibility to NPCs. The brighter the gem is, the more easier it is they can be visually detected. Thus, sticking to shady dark spots where the gem is dim ensures the player remains hidden, although NPCs can still find them if they get too close in front of them. To remain quiet, players must be careful of how much noise they produce, as well as what surfaces they are moving on. Walking over soft surfaces like carpet or grass is preferable as footsteps remain quiet, compared to walking over metal floors and ceramic tiles that produce a lot of noise. NPCs also produce noise, either from whistling or walking, which can help players determine how far away they are from their own position. Noise can also be used by the player to mislead/misdirect NPCs, such as throwing objects to lure them elsewhere. The game's NPCs feature an AI system that detects unscripted visual and oral cues. If an NPC sees or hears something out of place, it will react to this, depending on the level of its suspicion. If it's for a brief second, they will simply ignore it, but if it's for long enough, they will become alert to their surroundings and begin searching the area. NPCs will react to things such as clashing of swords or the reactions of other NPCs' voices, as well as to visual changes to their environment, such as bloodstains, open doors, or fallen bodies. Players can avoid leaving visual cues by cleaning up, such as hiding bodies. NPCs are divided into 3 categories: guard, servant, and non-human, whose reactions all vary. Guards will call out an alert if they spot the player and attack them. Servants will run for help if they spot the player or a body. Non-human NPCs will merely pursue and attack the player. To assist them on each level, the player character carries with them a few pieces of equipment. a blackjack that can incapacitate human NPCs, a sword which can kill NPCs, and a bow which can be used for ranged combat as well as a tool. The player can use a variety of arrows with their bow, each varying in properties. For example, water arrows can be used to douse torches and any other sources of fire, as well as clean up bloodstains. Rope arrows can attach a climbable rope to wooden surfaces. Moss arrows can cover an area with moss and muffle footsteps, and fire arrows that can relight torches and do considerable damage to NPCs.
Who said that?
Other tools that are also available include a lockpick, flash bombs, and potions. The player can cycle through the inventory of weapons/arrows and tools through their HUD. In addition, the player can purchase additional arrows and tools in between levels with the loot they have acquired, and find additional items during a level. The player can also find books and scrolls that contain information about the in-game lore, and find useful clues about how to get around obstacles within levels. They may also find food that can be eaten and keys that can unlock doors, chests, and crates.
I wonder if he reads them or if it's just for show.
Thief began development in April of 1996 for the game's original designer and writer Ken Levine, credited as a key figure in the creation of Thief. Inspiration came from two of his favourite games, Castle Wolfenstein and Diablo. The initial concept was to make an action role-playing game, and Levine was given the job of designing the game's world and story. Levine said that the initial ideas and projects that later morphed into Dark Camelot before eventually evolving into the Dark Project included School of Wizards, Dark Elves Must Die, and Better Red Than Undead, the latter of which was a campy story about communist zombies. The game was supposed to be a first-person sword-fighting simulator, but the marketing department killed the idea to Levine's disappointment. According to programmer Marc LeBlanc, the first proposal was Better Red Than Undead, a 50s Cold War game where the Soviet Union was overrun with zombies and you had to hack them to pieces as a loner from the CIA because bullets don't work on the undead. Doug Church said that the game's design was built out of the idea of having factions who you could either ally with or oppose, or do things for or not. The next concept, Dark Camelot, still focused on sword combat. Its plot, an inversion of the Arthurian legend, featured Mordred as a misunderstood hero, King Arthur as a tyrannical villain, and Merlin as a psychopath. According to Church, the game featured Morgan Le Fay as Mordred's sort of good advisor, and Guinevere as a lesbian who would betray Lancelot and help Mordred to break into Camelot to steal the Holy Grail. The game's design combined first-person perspectives with action, roleplay, and adventure elements. Warren Spector, who had recently left Origin Systems to found Looking Glass Studios Austin, became Dark Camelot's producer. Artist Dan Thorne said, "For a good long time we had no idea what the game was about until somebody stumbled upon the whole Thief gameplay, where you're not just running around trying to chop people up." Church recalled that the basic stealth model was just having the guards look the other way whilst you were going past pretty quickly. Paul Nareth had been pushing for a while that the Thief side of it was the really interesting part, and why not just do a Thief game? A previously unreleased trailer for Dark Camelot was uploaded to YouTube in 2013. The game's prologue sees Garrett, the protagonist, describing his youth as a homeless orphan on the city streets. He is caught while attempting to pickpocket a suspicious man who reveals himself to be a keeper. Impressed by Garrett's ability to see him, he offers him the chance to join his order. Garrett accepts, but later leaves in order to pursue a life of thievery. Years later, Garrett is working as a thief and is under pressure to join a crime ring. As punishment for his failure to pay a protection fee, he is targeted for assassination by the crime lord Ramirez. Garrett evades the assassination and robs Ramirez's mansion in retaliation. Following this, he is approached by a woman named Victoria, the representative of an anonymous client who is impressed by Garrett's theft from Ramirez. He is contracted to steal a sword from Constantine, an eccentric nobleman who has recently arrived in the city. After Garrett completes the mission, Victoria takes him to Constantine, who explains that he hired Garrett to steal his own sword as a test. Constantine offers him a fortune to steal the Eye, a gem kept within a sealed and deserted Hammerite cathedral. Thief takes place in a metropolis called the City, which has been noted to contain elements of Middle Age like dark fantasy and the Industrial Revolution. The project director said in an early preview, in essence it's this undefined medieval age, a sort of medieval Europe meets Brazil meets the City of Lost Children. There's some electricity, there's some magic, and there's some 19th century machinery kind of stuff. The setting has been described as steampunk, a fantastical setting where steam engine technology is predominantly used. During levels, the player must learn about the settings by finding notes and overhearing conversations. The city contains 3 factions, the Keepers and 2 opposing religious orders, known as the Pagans and the Order of the Hammer, or Hammerites. The latter 2 have been the city's representations of chaos and order. Respectively, the neutral, secretive Keepers strive to maintain a balance within the city. The Hammerites worship a deity called the Builder and believe in progress, craftsmanship and righteousness, and the Pagans have been described as primitive, almost animalistic, and worship the dangerous trickster god and value the natural world.
That way.
Not me, neither.
In early 1997, Dark Camelot's name was tentatively changed to the Dark Project, and its design altered to focus on thievery and stealth. Nevertheless, some of the levels originally designed for Dark Camelot ended up in the final project. Jeff Yaris said, "The goal is for everything to behave as it should. For example, things that will burn, and then it's up to the player to decide to burn things, whether we've anticipated it or not."
I don't know what that was.
The first draft of the stealth design was presented by Levine, and Levine said that inspiration for the idea of being powerful when undetected and very vulnerable when exposed came from the concept of submarine warfare, in particular from the 1985 simulation video game Silent Service. Multiplayer support was planned, including Thief Match, a pun on Death Match, where small teams of thieves competed under time pressure to steal the greatest value of swag from a territory of wealthy NPCs and their guard. Full-scale development on the Dark Project began in May 1997, with frantic work on a demo level and a trailer for E3 of 1997. Originally announced to come out in the summer of 1997, the game was delayed to the winter of 97-98. Thief the Dark Project received critical acclaim from The Washington Post, PC Gamer and Computer Gaming World, who wrote, "If you're tired of Doom clones and hungry for a challenge, give this fresh perspective game a try." We were pleasantly surprised. The game's use of the supernatural and cave exploring elements did receive criticisms, and several reviewers opted that a more realistic mansion robbing missions should have been used instead. Reviewers thought that the game's undead enemies caused the game to degenerate to the standard hack and slash, sub-Conan sort of thing that Heretic and Hexen and millions of other games had given us, and that it amounted to an erosion of storytelling skills that Looking Glass had once had. Thief was the first 3D stealth game for a PC, and its stealth gameplay innovations influenced later games in the genre. The game has been cited as the first to use light and shadow as a stealth mechanic, and the first to use audio cues such as the ability to eavesdrop on conversations and alert guards with loud footsteps. The game's use of sound wave propagation, which allowed sounds to travel around corners and through rooms, became widely considered by game developers. Thief's influence can be recognised in other stealth games such as Assassin's Creed, Hitman, Splinter Cell and Tenchu. Tenchu Stealth Assassins is an action-adventure stealth game developed by Acquire and published by Sony Music Entertainment Japan. Tenchu is known for its stealth gameplay and its eerie settings of feudal Japan.
The boss sent them on a special errand. Some fellow he wants dead. A thief. Name of Garrett.
I've heard of him. Garrett. Known to be trifled with. That's what I heard.
Not anymore if he's had a visit from those two.
Well, Ladles and Jelly Spoons, I hope you enjoyed that little look at Thief the Dark Project, and now, as is the norm with this series, I'm going to be playing a little bit of Thief the Dark Project and giving you my experiences and how I feel about the game. And my experiences and how I feel about the game can pretty much be summed up in this first level, Lord Bafford's Manor. Here we are in the briefing screen. The difficulty is normal. However, that's a bit of a lie, because normal in the Thief universe is actually easy. You've got normal, hard and expert, but at normal what you've got is you've got to sneak into Lord Bafford's manor, case the place. It's saying there that you can get in through the well at the back of the house. It's probably the best bet. You can blackjack or pickpocket the guards if you want. That would be the quietest. You've got to find the prize scepter and do it without too much commotion. Dead easy, dead simple, right? So let's go on to hard. Again, sneak into the manor, find the scepter. In addition, pinch 350, doesn't say 350 gold or dollars or pounds, it just says steal 350 worth of valuables whilst in the manor. Don't kill any servants, just servants, because they're harmless. And once you've achieved your goal, you need to get back out into the street. If we have a look at expert, again, it doesn't really change too much. It just says 700 worth of valuables, and don't kill anybody. No servants, no guards, nothing, and then make it out into the street. We're going to go for hard, which is technically normal, and we're going to go continue. Should take us to, yes, the item purchasing place. Now, healing potions is the first level of the game. I seem to remember it's pretty heavy on healing potions anyway, so we're okay. Or healing items, I should say, because you get a lot of apples and lots of cheese if you go to the right place. Water arrows, we will get more water arrows. In fact, we'll take all 4 of those. Broadhead arrows, we definitely don't need any more of them. I don't see us using any more than about 2 or 3. The swords obviously and the blackjack, so there we are. Play the mission. Here we go. We're in. Woohoo! Lord Bafford's manor, there it is, right in front of us. Press M to hit the old M, to find the map, I should say. Do not try frontal assault, obviously. That's not what this game is about. And yeah, so 1 guard, well, basement entrance, Bafford's manor, first floor. Phew. Oh yes, there is an arrow cache over there, so let's go and get that. If we go this way, we should trigger a conversation with the guards.
Hey, I'm going to the bear pits tomorrow. You want to come with?
No.
Couldn't pay me enough.
No, I'm with you, mate. That goes on for quite a while about like the bear fights. I seem to remember it being quite funny, but that's not what we're here to. This video isn't about the various conversations you can have within the Thief games. There we go. I'll just turn it. Oh, there's a passerby. Evening. Oh, don't say anything to me then, you rude bastard. Let's just put them away for now. Let's walk around here. There's the sewer entrance. I believe you get out through the sewers. You can get in through the sewers, but it's been, I'm not going to lie, it's probably been about 10 years since I last played Thief the Dark Project. If you've watched my video on 5 games I play each year, Thief 2 I play an awful lot of. I love that game. It is genuinely, it's such a brilliant game.
How's it going?
Okay, very well, my fine friend. I'm just going to go this way and see your drunk friend here. I'm going to run past you, and I'm going to crouch behind you, pickpocket you, use that to open the well, turn around, and lock the door. Lovely. Stand up again, and then jump. Here we go! Splish! Splash! I was taking a Milo out with a shotgun. Call back to an older video there. Look at this very late 90s water. Oh god. Ooh. But yeah, as I was saying, Thief 2, by easily the better game, just because it took out the supernatural element, which I was never a big fan of, because it did just make the game a little bit too hack and slashy, and that's not what this game is about. It's not what it should be about. I will say that I've only ever completed Thief the Dark Project and played the levels of Thief Gold, but I've never actually completed Thief Gold, if that makes sense. So yeah. Now, Bafford, just saying, you've got this massive hole in the side of your mansion. There's and some quite severe damage there. And this is going to be doing nothing for your house or your mansion value. You know, let's get in.
Inside at last.
Woohoo! Ever since I can remember first playing this mission, I always for some reason do this. Right, okay. Play this stupid little game. Okay. And it's in. That's 1 for 1. Give this one. Oh no! Ballsed it up. Ballsed it up. That's 2 for 3. Yeah, 3 for 4. Not perfect, you know. It's been a long time since I played this, so you know. Let's get in there. Oh.
The sir could really beef up security. What do you mean? What's wrong with us? Well,
See, healing potion.
But I've been thinking we should watch the outside.
That's stupid. People to worry about there on the inside.
No, then you catch them before they get inside, you taffer.
Oh!
Again, this was one of the things that I really loved about this game. It was about listening for guards. There's no mini-map. There's no sort of... you have to do this the old school way of like listening to guards, listening to what they're saying, listening for their footsteps. It does get very intense at some points, as you'll probably find out later in this particular mission. Come on, I need to get behind you before you get into that room. There we are. No, I don't think anybody finds you if you're there. There's nothing valuable down here, is there? No, no. Anything up here? No. Okay. No, no. Okay. Like I say, it's been a long time since I played this game, I can't remember. And then through here. Open that. 1 flash bomb. Close that, since we don't want to accidentally throw a flash bomb, so because I want that apple just there. Okay, so my experiences with Thief the Dark Project. Well, it will have started back in probably about 1998. Myself and a friend of mine were very avid readers of PC Format magazine, which is sort of like a tech magazine. I don't think it's still around, unfortunately, but they used to... Every month they had like a little demo disc with software and games on it. And we were just going through it as we normally did, just checking all of the games out. And then there was this one, just simply called Thief. And we read the review in the magazine about it and we're like, my god, that sounds fascinating. And we installed it, and I kid you not, we were like, this is fucking brilliant. Like, it was this, the demo was literally the Bafford Manor, but the objectives weren't the same, I don't think. Now one of these has got something good in it. That's that one.
Since I'm in here, I might as well pick up something for myself.
I hate to point this out to you, Garrett, but you have to. It's part of the one of the objectives. You need to pick some stuff up. Oh well, shut them as well. Make the place look tidy. Don't want anyone to be suspicious. I think we're in the servants' quarters. Yeah, if we go this way, we should find a servant asleep there. This way, there should be some awake servants here. Lovely. Okay. But yeah, so... Ooh, hello.
What was that?
Right, I hit that by mistake. Fucking pillock. We're just gonna put you out here, mate. Don't you worry. I'm gonna take you back to your bed. Come on now. Come on. That's it. Put you in here. Put you in here. Shh. Shh. Don't want to wake up your neighbour. I'm waking you up. You can wake them up, and the animation for them waking up is hilarious because they literally just go from being flat like that to being upright like that. Yeah. Good old 1990s technology. Okay. Go through here. Let's take that. See, I knew that was valuable. Okay, bits of food. Excellent. A bit of cheese. Carrot. Bit of bread. Oh, is that a... Oh, no. Bit of ham. Lamb. Okay, there'll be a note on here. Cedric, please speak to the cook about last night's dinner. Well, technically, the menu conformed to my instructions. I suspect that the lamb was somewhat older than this spring, and I'm in no way fooled by his practices of warming the salad to disguise wilting. If the cook is incapable of finding adequate ingredients, he can be replaced. And if he offers the same excuse about the stone market shortage, please remind him that the grocery budget is a good 50% above last year's figures, I should say. And even he should be able to procure adequate victuals at those prices. Love and kisses, Lord Bafford. But yeah, again, that's another thing that I absolutely adored about this game. It's stuff like that. It's, you know, you had to read those things to find out where stuff was. Yes, it could get a little bit irritating at times. Am I going the right way? Am I going the right way? Right, okay, I'll be honest, I'm a little bit lost. But I think it's this way. Yes. Ah, yes. Okay. 4. Let's take out that. Let's take out that. Alright, we're definitely in the castle now. If you see the me spazzing out controls wise, oh, there's a guard. That is because the standard controls are The standard controls are not WASD. They are S. They are S, Z, X, and C, and W is the run button. Yeah, it's now he turns round. I think. Doesn't he? Gets to yeah. There he goes. These guys. Oh yeah, there's another drunk guard in here. You don't want to give the game away that I'm in here. Yeah, there he is, drunk guard.
Who's there?
No one.
Is
sorry.
someone there?
No.
Been imagining things.
You were. Don't worry about it. I mean, I imagine things all the time. Thunk. As you can see there, hit detection boxes. Not top of... Oh God, thought I saw somebody. Okay, 4. Let's just get you out. Fine. And then, is it this way? Okay. Now, if I remember rightly, there is a guy that comes through here. Also, I do apologise if the game seems a little bit dark. It is kind of awkward to show off a game that the idea about it is that you stay in the darkness. Ooh. Yes, no, yes. I'm trying to keep an eye on both. But again, you know, this back in 1998, although this kind of feels a little bit like maybe a slower version of Splinter Cell or Metal Gear Solid, this genuinely was just like, oh god, this is the game that I've been wanting for years. Close you there, put you there. Yeah, this was the game that I wanted. Like, it wasn't just going in, gung ho, and just killing things. This was, you know, this was kind of like, I always think that this game was the one that sort of started the whole stealth done properly in a game. Right, I need to remember which way I'm going. Going this way? No, I'm not. I've gone the wrong way. I noticed there was a guard back there. I'm hoping he doesn't see me.
I wonder if he reads them or if it's just for show.
I like to think that he reads them all. Okay, that one's not worth anything. It's the gold ones. Papyrus, again, you had to read these things to, you know, make sure they were of any use. Does the Papyrus one actually say anything? Milordy Bafford, speaks he to Ginny, did you bid? Deckbow the Hammerheart hath been afoot, a sulk, a ferreting about, gabbing many a one to vanish in the coldstone down below their forgy chained cells. Tooks they your dealer Tarquis in their clutches night past, and 2 patrons as well, name of Leslie and Rian. I think it's meant to be Ryan. Scuppered, as they left, and those not the first, cries Ginny. Little wonder then if Deckbow grows, sparse come these days, of course, alack ye blame, to one hand, but then I gave Ginny a firm understanding ye, blood and doom of the whole book, and so he'll be learning him. Hang on, Ginny's a him. Okay, thought it was Ginny Weasley. Anybody? No? Yeah? Okay, apparently the Weasleys didn't know what were going on. No, hang on. Was this written about the same time as Harry Potter? Can't remember. Oh, I've lost me character now. So he'll be learning him all he cans about how to turn the hammers off him. Never you fear. About your Victoria, nothing yet. Walk she an inch above the ground, for all the dirt of her footprints I have found. That's obviously foreshadowing for later on, because obviously it's all about the last Victoria. Right, I need to be. Oh, yeah, compass. Oh. I want to be able to see just out there, but you can't turn the lights off. Now these guys, these badass mamba jambas, this is why I've switched to broad-headed arrows, they are the elite guard, so you know you're getting close to something important. They will hear me. If I am not careful. And ideally what you want to do is you want to take them out. There's another one coming.
What I see there.
No, no, you don't. You definitely don't.
Thought I heard something.
No, you definitely
Just
didn't.
the wind, I guess.
Okay, like I say, I've not played this game for some time. I'll let you decide what the P stands for. Whew. Okay. Okay, so here we go. I need to pull it about now. And straight into his face. Oh, what? It didn't kill him? Four. Okay. Let's just wash away the blood. Hang on. I need to pick you up. Need to pick you up. Get in that corner. Jesus Christ on a crutch. Right. Whew. Okay, so that was my bit of murder. I said I'd use about 3 arrows. I'm not going to take this guy out because, you know, if we don't need to kill, we shouldn't. The only reason I kill that guy is because they've got hearing like something that's got phenomenally good hearing. So, you know what? Oh, shit.
I know you're around here somewhere.
No. Other way. Yeah.
Just the wind, I guess.
It was indeed just the wind. I had a rushed lunch. I'm very windy. Right, he's going to go that way. Oops, right. Come on, open. In there. Excellent. I've got enough gold or whatever. Yeah. I should have nabbed his key, because if oh, I don't know. I've only got broadhead and water arrows. I don't have any. I don't have any rope arrows, so I can't rope into the ceiling. Right, this guy is also a pain in the ass. You can hit the gongs that I'm looking straight at the minute, but they will also call the guy in the corridor. So, yeah, you are a bit... but again, this guy has got super fucking hearing. Turn around. Turn the fuck around, mate. Go on, turn around. You know you want to. Go on, look behind you. Almost. Almost. Just another 90 degrees and we'll be there. Jesus. Just gonna see if I can... Ah. There we are. Complete blackness. And I am on the precipice. Oh yeah, this is one of those games where you can't see your feet. I am on... Right. He needs to turn around and I need to go.
What's there?
Nope, nothing, nothing's there. Nothing's there.
Seems quiet enough now.
Yep.
Oh well.
Shit! You don't need to get...
Where are... Hello? Anyone there?
No.
Guess not.
Okay, we're just gonna move like this till I'm absolutely convinced that I am on. There we go. On the rug. Come on, you motherfucker. Turn around. Turn around, you... Ah.
Who's the... Hey, stop! Don't move!
I like the fact that basically he's gone in, he's done that, he's like, well, I don't know where this guy is now. He's like, I'm in a completely dark room and I ain't got a clue. I should have nabbed his key. Should have nabbed his key. He's off out. Right, okay.
It's a throne room. How pretentious can you get?
Quite pretentious, apparently. But yeah, I've got the scepter. I just need to get back outside now. Can't remember how the quickest way to do it is. We're going to go back the way we came. This way. And then this way. Oh god. Bloody control scheme. This way. Down here. back out into the streets. Woohoo! Done! If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit the old like button. If you want to see more of this mush, please be sure to hit the old subscribe button, and apparently now you also have to hit a bell as well so that you can be informed of your subscription. And a new video will go straight into your inbox every Wednesday at 6 PM British Standard Time. Please be sure to check me out on other social medias. I'm trying to do a few bits on IGTV. I'd love to get your feedback on them as well. And as always, Ladles and Jelly Spoons, thank you so much for making it to the end of the video.
But the sweat was running down my arms and onto my camera, which is why I've taken this thing off. But now it's I'm cold because it's so sweaty.
Baldur's Gate is a fantasy role-playing video game developed by BioWare and published in 1998 by Interplay Entertainment. It is the first game in the Baldur's Gate series and takes place in the Forgotten Realms, a high fantasy campaign setting using a modified version of the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons 2nd edition rules.
Nestled atop the cliffs that rise from the Sword Coast, the citadel of Candlekeep
It was the first game to use the Infinity engine for its graphics, with Interplay using the engine for other Forgotten Realms licensed games, including the Icewind Dale series, as well as other licensed D&D campaigns, such as Planescape Tournament. The game's story focuses on players controlling the protagonist of their own creation, who find themselves travelling across the Sword Coast alongside a party of companions to unravel the mystery surrounding a sudden iron crisis affecting the region and attempting to discover the culprits behind it, whilst also uncovering dark secrets about their origins and dealing with attempts on their life. The game received critical acclaim following its release and was credited for revitalising the computer role-playing game. Its success led to an expansion pack entitled Tales of the Sword Coast, as well as spawning a sequel entitled Baldur's Gate 2 Shadow of Arn. An enhanced version of the Infinity engine was used to create Baldur's Gate Enhanced Edition, the first new release for the franchise in nearly 9 years. Baldur's Gate was developed by Canadian game developers BioWare, a company founded by practicing physicians Ray Musica and Greg Zashuk. The game was initially entitled Forgotten Realms. According to Musica, our head programmer had actually read every one of the Forgotten Realms books. Everything. Every single one of the short stories and paperbacks. He made a point of it. He really wanted to immerse himself. The game's development was spent simultaneously creating the game's content and BioWare's Infinity engine. The primary script engine for the game, used mainly as a debugging tool, was Lua, and Direct Draw was used for the graphics. The game Wasteland was a major influence on Baldur's Gate, particularly its design philosophy of having more than one possible method of achieving each goal. Unusually for the time, the graphics were not built from tiles. Each background was individually rendered, which greatly extended the amount of time needed to create the game. At the time the game was shipped, none of the 6-member team had previously participated in the release of a video game. Time pressures to complete the game led to the use of simple areas and game design. Ray Musica said that the team had held a passion and a love for the art. He believed that the game was successful because of this collaboration with Interplay. Baldur's Gate was released on the 30th of November 1998 and published by Black Island Studios, an internal division of Interplay. Baldur's Gate takes place in the fictional world of Ed Greenwood's Forgotten Realms setting during the year of 1368 DR, in the midst of an apparent iron shortage, where items made from iron inexplicably rot and break. Focusing upon a western shoreline of Faerun, the game is set within a stretch of the region known as the Sword Coast, which contains a multitude of ecologies and terrains, including mountains, forests, plains, cities and ruins, with the story encompassing both the city of Baldur's Gate, the largest and most affluent city in the region, and the lands south of it, including Cloud Peaks, the Wood of Sharp Teeth, the Cloakwood Forest, the town of Bergotst, the village of Nashkel, and the fortress citadel of Candlekeep. In addition to the region, a variety of organisations from the Forgotten Realms settings also feature as part of the game's main story, including the Xantarim, the Red Wizards of Thay, the Iron Throne, the Flaming Fist,
I serve the Flaming Fist!
the Chill, the Black Talons, and the Harpers. The player takes the role of a young and orphaned ward of the mage Gorion. The two live in the ancient library fortress of Candlekeep. Abruptly, the ward finds themselves ordered by Gorion to prepare to leave the citadel together during the night, with no explanation.
Nevertheless, you now stand before the Candlekeep Inn, ready to purchase what you need for an unplanned and unexpected journey.
On the night of leaving Candlekeep, a mysterious armoured figure and his cohort ambush the pair and order Gorion to hand over the ward.
Hand over your ward and no one will be hurt.
Gorion refuses and dies in the ensuing battle, whilst ensuring that his ward can escape. In the morning, the ward encounters Emowen, a childhood friend who is an orphan like them and also lived in Candlekeep, who has followed them in secret. With no safe hiding place available, Candlekeep no longer accessible without Gorion's influence to circumvent the admission fee, the ward resolves to investigate the cause of the region's iron crisis. Baldur's Gate had low sales expectations from Interplay, and BioWare's internal sales goal was around 200,000 units, a number that PC Zone's Dave Wood said would justify work on a sequel. However, the game was a financial success. Within its first 2 weeks of release, the game sold 75,000 copies worldwide, and this pushed it to the #1 position of the computer games sales charts in France, Germany, Canada, the United Kingdom and the United States during this period. Its global sales totaled more than 500,000 copies by February of 1999, nearly 700,000 by the June, and roughly 1 million by the November. GameSpot described Baldur's Gate as an unprecedented commercial blockbuster. Global sales reached 1.5 million copies in 2001 and ultimately surpassed 2.2 million by 2003. I adore Baldur's Gate. This is the last edition that I bought of it back in 2000. It's the PC DVD version that they released. I do think I have the original PC CD-ROM version that they released somewhere in my collection of old PC video games, but I don't actually have that in my studio. So Baldur's Gate for me was actually the first introduction, although I didn't realise it at the time, into Dungeons and Dragons. It wasn't until probably after playing it and waxing lyrical to a friend of mine that they said, that's based on Dungeons and Dragons. I think I was aware what Forgotten Realms was back in 1998, but I wasn't into Dungeons and Dragons, as it were. I love Baldur's Gate apart from one tiny caveat, and it's the thing that always, every time I try to replay it, because I have tried to replay it in the past a few times, but it's the one little thing that always just really... Ugh. Luckily it's quite close to the beginning of the game, so I just need to get through it and then I'm all good. But at the very beginning, once you have decided to try and resolve the iron shortage that's happening along the Sword Coast, you have to go to an iron mine, and that iron mine is just a pain in the arse the first time I played it. I found it a pain in the arse the second time I played it, and every single time I've tried to replay Baldur's Gate in the last few years, I've got to that bit and I have just gone, no, just can't be fucked, there isn't enough time in the world, I'm leaving it. Which is a shame, because there's so much more after that bit that's just so good and really fun to play. I can definitely recommend it if you've never got into Dungeons and Dragons and sort of want like a little bit of a, I suppose, like a light introduction to it. Baldur's Gate is a great place to start. And actually, Baldur's Gate is a great place to start if you've never come across BioWare either. They are obviously responsible for some really brilliant games, probably most famously, obviously, the Mass Effect series.
I've had enough of your snide insinuations.
And the Dragon Age series.
Just so you know, if the king ever asks me to put on a dress and dance to Remigold, I'm drawing the line.
Which are both brilliant games. One's sci-fi fantasy, the other's sword and sorcery.
Stand and deliver, that my hamster might have a better look at you.
If you have enjoyed this video, Ladles and Jelly Spoons, please be sure to hit the old like button and possibly even subscribe to the channel. I upload videos every Wednesday at 6 PM British Standard Time. Feel free to check me out on other social medias and check out other retrospective reviews that I've done over the past year. And as always, Ladles and Jelly Spoons, thanks very much for making it to the end of the video.